All right, welcome back everybody to our latest severe weather live stream. I hope everybody's having a good afternoon so far. We do have a lot of severe weather to talk about in this live stream, and it's not just about today, but it's also going to be about tomorrow, because we have really a lot of different threats this week across much of the United States, and the first of which is today, and that's what we're looking at right now is basically a cluster or a linear cluster of storms that's developed across parts of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and even southern New York earlier today. And this is all going to be bringing some damaging winds, some isolated large hail, and as well as a threat for a couple of tornadoes over the next couple of hours. And we'll be talking about this and as well as our future outlook in terms of what to expect tomorrow and as well as on Tuesday in a little bit. But I do want to first talk about what's happening right now on live radar, because we have multiple storms out there, all of which that are severe at this time. So right now over in eastern Ohio, just east of Cleveland, you do have this newly developing cluster of storms, and really all of these storms have formed in the last 30 minutes. It is a quick snap of your fingers basically, and that's what's happened here over the last half an hour, is that a lot of thunderstorms have fired off here as of recently, and the one that's approaching Warren, Ohio is actually pretty impressive. We have a ton of lightning with this. This is over the last few minutes, and we have a lot of lightning strikes being detected right now near the Southington area, near Cortland and Warren. This is all moving east and east-southeast at about 60 miles per hour. So these are very fast-moving storms right now, and with that being said, that actually gives you an indication that there is going to be a threat of damaging winds with this. In addition to that, we also have some pretty significant hail with this particular storm. You can see that black and pink area there here on the reflectivity. That is indicating the threat of hail, and right now this particular storm is warned for golf ball sized hail. So this is quickly moving to the east southeast. It's almost hard to keep up with here, and this is going to be moving towards Warren, Sharpsville, and eventually going towards Youngstown, Ohio over the next several minutes. So if you are in the track of this storm and you're not currently in the warning, I would highly recommend protecting your vehicle. In addition to that, make sure your trampolines are hatched down, and as well as make sure that you have protected your outdoor plants. Further out to the east, the storms are not nearly as significant over here in western Pennsylvania right now, but they are still packing a punch with both damaging winds and large hail. This particular storm near Interstate 79 moving towards Oil City and Cranberry, as well as Grove City and Clarion, is currently producing some half-dollar sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And this entire cluster right here is also moving east-southeast at approximately 60 miles per hour. So once again, very fast-moving storms here in both Ohio and Pennsylvania right now. If we do go further to the east, though, we even have another storm that's a bit more separated from that initial cluster that's developed. This is back near Emporium, and this particular storm is also drifting to the east-southeast. It is producing the threat of large hail and damaging winds. The exact parameters there are quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds, and this storm is moving east-southeast, producing a fair amount of lightning. So once again, some cloud ground lightning is possible. That could cause some problems, especially if you're near Emporium or even just north of Interstate 80. In addition to that, this storm is also moving east-southeast towards Williamsport, Lock Haven, Pennsylvania at, once again, 60 miles per hour. So these are very fast-moving storms, meaning that these warning polygons that we're going to be getting here today are going to be pretty large, and I'm expecting probably a couple of new warnings here relatively soon. That will include areas like Youngstown, Boardman, and as well as parts of western Pennsylvania. Now, as we go throughout the next few hours, a couple of things that I would be watching for in particular. One of which is that we have a pretty large severe thunderstorm watch that goes from the Scranton area of eastern Pennsylvania back through central parts of Ohio, and obviously this is a fairly large area. This particular watch will go all the way until 11 o'clock tonight across this entire region, so it's actually a pretty lengthy severe thunderstorm watch. The main concern is going to be scattered damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. In addition to that, large to even sometimes very large hail will be possible out of some of these storms, and a tornado or two will be possible. And that's the main reason why we're going live, is because I do think we'll at least get an isolated tornado here over the next hour. You might be surprised by this, but we actually do have an enhanced risk for severe weather, and these storms haven't even entered into this enhanced risk yet. But this is where the greatest threat of damaging winds will exist. In addition to that, this will be the area that we're watching for the greatest tornado risk, and that's going to include areas like Pittsburgh, Wheeling, Canton, Youngstown, and much of eastern Ohio, with a bit more of an elevated risk there for a couple of tornadoes today. In addition to that, there is a little area that's back up here near Youngstown that has a more elevated large to very large hail threat. If we go to the Storm Prediction Center's forecast for hail, there is actually a hatched area back up in a very small part here of northeast parts of Ohio and back into parts of western Pennsylvania. That's anywhere in this black outline that is on your screen here. So anywhere from eastern Ohio back into western Pennsylvania, we actually could get an isolated storm producing some tennis ball sized hail. And where I would be watching for the greatest concern with that is going to be out of the storms that are near Warren and also near Youngstown, Ohio. These storms in particular have been the most intense so far. This is really one of the most favorable environments here for there being a much larger hail threat. In addition to that, I would not rule out an isolated tornado here in the next hour or two as these storms do continue to evolve and move further down to the south and east throughout areas in eastern Ohio and as well as much of Pennsylvania. Here's that tornado risk for today. Overall, there is a 5% tornado risk. This goes across a fairly large area from central and eastern Ohio, from Canton and just south of Akron, and as well as near Youngstown, back into Pittsburgh, Sandy, and St. Mary's, back near Altoona. This is where we're watching for a slightly more elevated tornado risk. Overall, I'm not super concerned today about like a strong tornado happening or something like that, but if we do end up getting a tornado, it could still cause some damage, like knocking over trees, potentially some power lines damaged, or shingles, or maybe some trampoline goes flying. You never know. Something could happen along those lines with a tornado or two today. So you definitely want to make sure if you're anywhere across Ohio or Pennsylvania that you do have multiple ways to receive alerts and have a tornado action plan in place just in case, because we definitely have an elevated tornado risk here. The shear is pretty strong. These storms are all moving very fast at 60 miles per hour, and that is a big fat 60, by the way. That is not a 06 miles per hour. We're talking about 60 miles per hour with these storms. They are going pretty much highway speed out here across parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio. So very quick moving storms. And with that being said, there is going to be a tornado risk associated with these. Most likely going to peak around 6:30 or so. But overall, make sure that you're staying weather aware, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and we'll be live probably for at least a couple of hours with this particular threat as these storms do continue to evolve and move further down to the south and east across much of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Now, with that being said, we do have at least a little bit of rotation that we're going to have to be watching for with these storms. Definitely looking at a pretty significant hail threat, it looks like, trying to develop here near Route 62 and Interstate 79. I do want to say, though, that the rotation has not been super impressive yet, and that's because these storms literally just developed all in the last half an hour. If we let's do a quick little loop here over the last 30 minutes or so. Look at this. I mean, this literally has just fired off. I actually have to go back further because they fired off maybe about 45 minutes ago. But this is right around about 5 o'clock. You can just see how these storms have really quickly developed here across Ohio and Pennsylvania. So these are very new. They a lot of the rain and all the parcels here that were just coming off the Lake Erie area. Obviously, the water up in Lake Erie is still very cold, so these storms did struggle a little bit initially to develop, but really quickly they exploded in intensity across more inland areas here in eastern Ohio and as well as western Pennsylvania. So over the next few hours, these storms will continue to ramp up, producing mainly a damaging wind threat, but I'm not ruling out at least an isolated tornado or two. And in addition to that, there's going to be plenty of lightning and as well as again, a low tornado risk, some large hail as well. All those things will be in play. And once again, if you are just tuning in, we do have a storm right now near Warren in Ohio that is currently producing the threat of some golf ball sized hail. Let's go to the correlation coefficient. We can check out and see what this actually looks like in terms of hail. And this is a pretty good view of it right here near Cortland. We actually have a couple of different spots here of large hail. We got one right now near Southington. We got another one over Cortland right now. So this is all right here that we're seeing that's kind of reflecting off the radar beam. All of that is just simply some error that the correlation coefficient is picking up on. So it's not hailing here, but where the hail course starts, like in Cortland, for example, and as well as Southington, that is where we have two very large hail cores trying to develop right now. And once again, this storm is warned for some golf ball sized hail. This storm right now is driving to the southeast. It's going to be approaching Youngstown, Warren, Sharpsville near Interstate 376 and Interstate 80 over the next several minutes. So if you are in any of these severe thunderstorm warnings, stay away from windows and obviously on the lowest floor possible. Damaging winds could knock over trees and power lines. Also have some flashlights handy because mainly the main concern again is going to be some scattered to numerous damaging winds. And a lot of areas will see damaging winds, and with the nature of this terrain having tons of trees, it is very easy for a tree or two to fall onto a power line and knock out power citywide. So you obviously want to make sure that you have flashlights on hand just in case you do end up getting a significant damaging windstorm as these storms do continue to move across Ohio and Pennsylvania here over the next few hours. Alrighty. Penny-sized hail in Warren, Ohio right now. Thank you, Stu, for the report. So getting a report in chat in Warren that there's some penny-sized hail. Obviously, depends on where you are, and the nature of these storms is that, or with really any storm, is that the hail core very easily could be in an area that is maybe a slight bit further to your north, east, west, or south. And usually the hail cores are not super big. They're usually a couple of miles in diameter. This one right here would be on the north side right now of Warren, and we also got another one right now near Southington. So two different pockets here of large to very large hail in eastern Ohio, and both of which right now again are capable of the threat for up to golf ball sized hail. And here's the correlation coefficient. It looks like the one near Southington is starting to weaken out. The one near Cortland still looks pretty impressive on at least the correlation coefficient here. And again, the correlation coefficient usually gives us an idea of debris that is being lifted up into the atmosphere. With that said, it does also give us an idea of hail that is falling, and we are definitely seeing some hail falling here, at least near Cortland. Let's go down to the Pittsburgh radar site here. And the Pittsburgh radar site is picking up on that hail core a little bit more there near Cortland. We also have another hail core back near just north of Grove City, kind of in between Greenville and Franklin. So that is another hail core that is currently driving down to the southeast. And I would honestly not be surprised if this warning got upgraded here near Grove City to maybe 2-inch diameter hail. Looks like this storm right now is beginning to intensify just a little bit right now near Grove City and Route 62. So we'll see if they upgrade that warning, but that is a much larger hail core. If we go to the smoothing feature here real quick, you might get a better view of that. Yeah, there you go. This is the smoothing feature. So notice that again, that would be your hail core right there. That is likely upwards of 2-inch diameter hail. Once again, it's a pretty localized and isolated area, but this will be approaching Interstate 80. It's going to be moving in the direction of Grove City and as well as Monroe. So that'll be kind of your track right now. And once again, this is all kind of pushing down to the east, southeast, and southeast at about 60 miles per hour. So a very quick moving band of storms right now across much of western Pennsylvania. But this for sure has been the most intense hail core that we've had here, at least over the last 15 minutes. The one that's back over, or was back over near Warren, is not nearly as scary looking, if you will, in the reflectivity. It is still probably producing at least some $half to ping pong ball sized hail, but golf ball sized hail may be a little bit of a stretch there. I would definitely say, though, that the storms that are back over near Grove City right now definitely look a lot more impressive when it comes to hail. So we'll obviously have to watch that thread over the next several minutes. And if you do have any reports, by the way, of hail, you can feel free to leave those in the chat. You can also tweet us on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX, and I'll try to show some of those photos if you end up getting any photos of the hail. Fresh cut. Yes, I got a haircut. Thank you. That was the topic of discussion of over Friday's video. I got a haircut right before that video, and everybody was commenting about my haircut. It was quite an experience. I've never had so many people comment about a haircut before. Is Western Ohio in any danger? I'm not expecting anything in Western Ohio. I know we do have Fostoria, Ohio. I think that's how you say it, the live cam there. But that was like the closest live cam to this particular area of storms, which is back over, I believe, near Toledo. So not really that close to this activity, but at least gives you some sort of perspective of what's happening. And we also have Greencastle, Pennsylvania, and Greencastle is actually going to be in the track of these storms later on tonight. So Greencastle, you will definitely have to be mindful if you're back down that direction. Damaging winds definitely being the main concern. I do want to point out, it looks like we do have a little bit of contamination here near Greencastle, or sorry, not Greencastle, Grove City. That would be because of the hail core that we have developing here. So even though it looks like there's rotation, that is actually going to be from the hail that's falling there. It's kind of playing a factor here into the velocities, kind of giving us some weird refractions, reflections off the radar beam that's down there to the south. We also got the radar site from Cleveland, and the Cleveland radar site hasn't shown too much rotation yet. But we are beginning to actually pick up on at least some broad rotation near Jackson Center, but I still think that's probably more of a contamination issue right now. I would say if you're near Fairview, though, there is at least some very heavy rain going through there. We are getting some reports right now of large hail in Jackson Center. Reports of quarter-sized hail in Jackson Center right now, and that's out of the more significant hail core that we have on the radar right now. This is going to be back up near Route 62. This is just south of Sugar Creek. Trying to see if we got any more reports here. Got half-inch sized hail being reported. Got some dime-sized hail being reported. So all sorts of varieties here of hail being reported near Route 62. And that'll be moving again down to the southeast. So if you are in Monroe or Grove City, right in between that little Interstate 80 corridor, be very mindful. There will definitely be some significant hail here as this does continue to move down to the south and east. Looks like the hail core back over near Warren is actually starting to blow up again. We got one right here. Got another one right there. We got another one right there. We got 3 separate hail cores, and all of those are capable of upwards of golf ball sized hail still. So we definitely still have some significant hail here if you're back over in eastern Ohio. Once again, just north of Youngstown, moving towards Boardman, Newcastle, Slippery Rock, and Grove City will all be in the track of this activity. Once again, all these storms right now are moving southeast at 60 miles per hour. That is a big, fat 60 miles per hour. That is not a small 6 miles per hour. So these are very fast-moving storms today, and that also kind of helps to at least increase the tornado risk just a little bit. And we'll kind of see what happens over the next hour with the tornado risk. But at this time, it's mainly a very large hail and damaging wind threat, at least for the next 25 minutes or so. I do think after we get past 6 o'clock, we'll probably get these storms a little bit more organized, and that could lead to a bit more of an elevated tornado risk as we get closer to like 6 or 7 o'clock tonight. So that's what I'm thinking overall for today's threat. Thank you, Douglas, for the $4.99. What about near Carnegie? I don't know what state that would be. Talking about Pennsylvania, or we're talking about Ohio. Looks like we have a Carnegie, Pennsylvania, so we'll go with that one for now. Anywhere in like the Pittsburgh metro, I would expect the best chance for storms there being closer to like 7:30, 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30. And the main concern there being damaging winds, isolated tornado risk. It is a little bit more elevated there. And in addition to that, I am also not ruling out the potential for some isolated large hail. But I do think the main large hail threat is going to be primarily focused to those up here in northwest Pennsylvania and as well as eastern Ohio, where we do have the initial supercells developing right now. All these supercells, and obviously it's a whole cluster, but anything in here is going to have a much more elevated hail threat. Those initial storms almost always produce a much more elevated hail threat in comparison to storms that have been ongoing for 6+ hours. So these are definitely in the ballpark of being more intense overall for hail. I do think it's going to be more of a damaging wind risk for Pittsburgh, but I'm not ruling out an isolated tornado down that direction. Do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for those northwest of the State College area. This is near St. Mary's. Really, overall, just part of this entire cluster that is stretching across almost the entire northern side of Pennsylvania. This is also for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, and as well as some quarter-sized hail. And you can see here, again, that area of storms is stretching across about 200 miles, I think. Let's go ahead and measure this real quick. The diameter is about 120 miles, so it's about 250 miles in length right now for this particular cluster of storms stretching from Ohio back into Pennsylvania. Once again, all these storms are capable of large hail and damaging winds right now. There will again be more elevated tornado risk as we get closer to 6 and 6:30 across eastern Ohio and as well as western Pennsylvania. And I do think if we do get a tornado risk, it'll probably come out of this activity here that is currently developing and also the activity that is already ongoing across eastern Ohio near Warren. And once again, we are getting some golf ball sized hail potential right now near Warren. So once again, stay away from windows if you are currently in this particular storm. But I'm not seeing any rotation quite yet. So good news on that end for the time being. But lots of lightning, that's for sure. You can see all the lightning here. This is I think, about 60 or 70 lightning strikes a minute. So we got about a lightning strike a second right now with these storms. This is the lightning detection every 5 minutes. This will be every 1 minute. We'll keep it on 5 minutes, but pretty good amount of lightning. I'll double check the actual figure here of lightning on this particular area of storms. Yeah, it's a lot of lightning. I was wrong on that number. It's 300 lightning strikes a minute. So that's a lot. 300 lightning strikes a minute. Now, granted, this goes anywhere from northeast Pennsylvania back into eastern Ohio. If we only include the storms that are associated with this like initial area of storms, so anywhere from about Warren back into like basically any of these storms here, that's still 225 lightning strikes a minute approximately that's happening right now. That's a lot. That's quite a lot of lightning. So once again, if you are in Pennsylvania or Ohio, if you hear a rumble of thunder at all, make sure to go indoors because there is a very solid chance that we will get some cloud to ground lightning with these storms as they continue to move down to the south and east. Another severe thunderstorm warning northwest of Williamsport. We got another one now on the large cluster of storms near Grove City and Clarion. This one is going to be north of Pittsburgh by quite a bit still. This is going to be for those in Grove City, Slippery Rock, Toby, Limestone, Interstate 80, and as well as areas like Monroe and Brockway. The main concern in this particular area of storms is still going to be damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Lots of lightning, which is not technically a severe threat, but it is something that you want to still stay very aware of. In addition to that, there will be some half-dollar sized hail as this activity does continue to move down to the south and east over the next several minutes. Thank you, KD, for becoming a moderate velocity member. I do appreciate that. Welcome to the velocities. Welcome back. Thank you as well, Scrubby, for the $5 super chat. What time do you think the severe weather threat will have moved on from Warren, Ohio? Probably in the next half an hour. Your main concern is happening right now. So if you're on the northern side of the severe thunderstorm watch, anywhere in like this area, for example, your threat is already happened or is happening actively. And after that, you're done. So Warren would be in that ballpark. You'll probably be done around like 6:15, 6:30. There will probably still be some lightning in the vicinity though, so keep that in mind. Hail came down at Warren, Ohio. Do we have any, like, I know a lot of you guys are in Warren. Are you guys getting any sort of, like, measurement on that, or any sort of visual measurement, at least? Just let me know in the chat if you have any sort of estimate there. We've had a few different reports at this point. The initial storms there were producing around penny-sized hail. That's at least what I heard. And it looks like we are getting some other reports now of half-inch sized hail in Warren, dime-sized hail, pea-sized hail, a whole variety here of cheese curd-sized hail right now in eastern Ohio. Big variety. Thank you, Pug. Appreciate it. Is New Jersey in on this? Not really. You will probably at least get some passing showers, but I'm not expecting anything substantial there in terms of severe weather. Very high winds in Jefferson County, Pennsylvania. I have family near Oil City, Pennsylvania. They reported marble-sized hail. Dime-sized hail, penny-sized hail. Just tweeted me a quick video. Yeah, if you guys do have any photos or videos, you can feel free to tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. I don't see any video tweeted at me, but just make sure to mention me at MaxVelocityWX. Just had a good amount of hail in Warren. Yeah, if we go back to the correlation coefficient, which usually gives us an idea of debris, but this also can give us an idea of hail. Yeah, there's quite a bit of hail that's fallen with this. I mean, this is just, at least the correlation coefficient in this case is showing a high quantity of hail that's falling in eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. And that's primarily anywhere where you're seeing that green color. There's a couple of spots there just east of Warren, but that's all hail that's falling right now near Sharpsville. And this is what just came through Warren and Cortland. So plenty of hail right now falling here in eastern Ohio, specifically near Warren. That's where we're seeing a large variety of hail falling there. Once again, a very large range, anywhere from pea-sized hail all the way up to perhaps golf ball-sized hail, which is what the warned storm here is warned for. And if we still have that kind of hail falling, it would be out of this particular cluster moving into Sharpsville as we speak. Looks like it's a bit smaller and weaker than before, but that would be where we have the greatest sized hail, would be near Sharpsville right now. And as of right now, again, we do have 6 severe thunderstorm warnings across the board, all across parts of eastern Ohio and as well as western Pennsylvania. We also got a couple up in northern Pennsylvania. All of these, again, are warned for 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And in addition to that, they are also warned for up to golf ball-sized hail. But any storm that is east of Warren at this point is currently warned for half-dollar-sized hail. So that's the current threat as of right now. We are still going to be watching for a tornado risk to try to develop out of these. I do think it's primarily going to be a damaging wind risk, but it's definitely not ruled out that we could get an isolated tornado, especially with how fast these storms are moving. Once again, they are moving at 60 miles per hour right now, so they are very fast moving storms across Ohio and as well as Pennsylvania. Chicken tender sized hail. That sounds fantastic. Got another severe thunderstorm warning. This is a more elevated warning. For those in Warren, Youngstown, and Boardman, stay very alert here. There is now a potential for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. This is, I believe, nope, this is actually confirmed now. So the train weather spotter in Youngstown Warren Airport reported a gust of 68 miles per hour. I'm guessing that was an ASOS and not a trained weather spotter, but could be wrong on that. 68 mile per hour wind gust just confirmed in Youngstown, Youngstown, Ohio. So 70 mile per hour damaging winds. In addition to that, ping pong ball sized hail will be possible. These storms are moving southeast right now at 55 to 60 miles per hour. This particular storm, though, if you're in Youngstown or Boardman, you need to be staying away from windows, as there could be some flying debris. Anything like loose lawn items or, again, a flying trampoline can't be ruled out here, with damaging winds right now up to 70 miles per hour. In addition to that, we do have some ping pong ball sized hail. A couple of different spots for that. We got one back up near Sharpsville. We also have a little bit of hail back up north of Youngstown. So 2 different hail cores there, both of which are capable of some large hail. We also got another one over here, by the way, that's back over northeast of Grove City. So, once again, large hail possible near Youngstown. In addition to that, damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour will also be possible, as these storms do continue to move down to the southeast at about 55 miles per hour over the next several minutes. Thank you, Joey. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rick, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate it. Welcome to the velocities. Trampoline meter today is medium. I would have done high, but there's not really a significant damaging wind risk. And what I mean by significant is like something being, higher than like 70 miles per hour. I don't think we're gonna have any storms that do that today. So overall, that is not in play. But we do have a medium risk for flying trampolines today. I'm in Greenville, all just passed with probably some nickel-sized hail. It was dicey for a few minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be all day for anywhere in Ohio and Pennsylvania. It's going to be dicey for a little bit. Again, damaging winds, lots of lightning, and even an isolated tornado. And again, we're going to be watching mainly for that tornado risk, but we definitely have a little bit more of a significant storm now near Youngstown, Ohio, that is currently producing some 70 mile per hour damaging winds and ping pong ball sized hail. So a bit more of an elevated storm here back over in, again, eastern Ohio and Pennsylvania right now. Will there be a tornado in the Warren area? I'm not expecting a tornado in Warren. I mean, all the storms, for you at least, have already passed you. So any tornado risk that does develop would have to be down to your south and east. So it mainly have to be in here. I think the greatest, if we do get a tornado, I think it's going to be in this black circle. So anywhere down near Pittsburgh or Wheeling, east of Canton, this is where I think the greatest tornado risk will exist. Now, obviously, we could still see an isolated tornado outside of this, but this is honestly where I do think that greatest threat of an isolated tornado will be today. What I think about the tornado risk in Iowa, I kind of talked about it in today's video, but I do think Iowa will have a much more elevated tornado risk as we go into Tuesday. So Tuesday, I think there's definitely going to be more elevated tornado risk. Terms of a live stream for Tuesday, I don't know when we're going to be going live, because I am not going to be able to be live from what time is it? 2 to 4 Central Time. So we'll probably boot up a live stream around like 4 or so. But severe weather is going to be possible before that. We might even have to do a live stream before that too. But I do think as we go into Tuesday, I think Tuesday will probably be a worse day for severe weather than Monday. I do think there's going to be a much more elevated tornado risk for Tuesday. And that is basically being, that's contingent though on there being a cap in place for all of Monday. Because if we have a cap in place on Monday, it's definitely going to be a much more significant tornado risk on Tuesday, because Monday right now is going to be very hit or miss, like very hit or miss. Oh my god, I've never sneezed on a live stream before, I don't think. But yeah, that's pollen for you. It's that kind of the year, or that time of the year, I should say. How'd my test go? It didn't go too bad. I think I got a B on it. Not too shabby. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning for Warren. Warren, though, is probably going to get kicked out of this warning here in a moment. If you are in Warren, honestly, you're fine. You can still, do whatever you need to do upstairs or whatever, but don't go outside. There is still some lightning in the vicinity. The storm itself, though, has moved out of your area. The main concern right now for the 70 mile per hour wind threat is going to be moving towards Newcastle in Pennsylvania near Interstate 376. And then back over near Slippery Rock, Limestone, and Toby, we also have another large cluster of storms right now diving to the southeast at 60 miles per hour. And these storms are also producing the potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. So these are definitely some more significant storms right now. They're ongoing down over here and moving down to the south and east pretty quickly. Dayton's not seeing severe weather today. Yeah, I don't even think you're in the risk today. I'll double check. Yeah, Dayton's kind of like on the cusp of a marginal threat, but I don't think you'll see anything today. I think the main concern will really be confined to this area here. And let's go quickly through the future radar here. This is the HRRR model. We'll go to the 18Z model run here. This is what we're talking about for the threat for today. And this is around 7 o'clock, and we've already seen storms develop at, this is 6 o'clock, for example. So the HRRR is actually pretty solid on at least where the storms are at the time frame, but it's definitely not showing nearly as much of a area of storms. This is more isolated to widely scattered comparatively to what we have right now, which is much more widespread at this point. But as we get closer to 7 to 8 o'clock, this cluster of storms will push down to the southeast, mainly producing a large hail and damaging wind threat. By the time we get closer to 10, that's when storms will be arriving to Pittsburgh, back over near Scranton area. I do think storms will get there much quicker though near Scranton. I do think the HRRR is showing these storms much slower than they actually are overall, even though they're moving southeast. I do think these storms will get to these areas much sooner. So like Pittsburgh, Altoona, probably going to get storms around 9 or so, maybe slightly earlier than that. And then once we get closer to 11 to 12 o'clock, most of the storms are done. I do think the majority of the severe weather for today is going to happen between now and 8 o'clock, and that's probably when we'll be live from until, and we'll kind of monitor this threat very closely as all these storms do evolve. Now, I do want to mention, for those that are wondering about tomorrow, we will probably be live at some point tomorrow. Whether that is an update live stream or a severe weather coverage, we'll have to wait and see. I do at least plan on having some sort of update live stream, probably in like the middle of the afternoon tomorrow. And then as we go into Tuesday, we'll probably also have we'll probably have 1 or 2 live coverages that day. So stay tuned for that. And make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. It's going to be a pretty active next 72 hours. We have a threat of severe weather today. We have another one tomorrow. We have literally right now 3 enhanced risk days in a row. It begins today and it runs all the way through Tuesday. So it's going to be an elongated event. We even have a slight risk on Wednesday across parts of the Ohio Valley, mainly for Kentucky and I believe Tennessee. Those are the 2 areas. So it is definitely going to be active over the next several days with lots of severe weather and probably a lot of severe weather live coverages as well. It's going to definitely be active. How's it going, Baldy? Welcome back. Thank you, VR, for becoming a minimum velocity member. Appreciate that. Thank you. Lightning and Scrantron. Is it just Scantron? Scantron. Am I reading it wrong? Nope, I'm not. But it's Scantron, apparently. No problem, Stephanie. Monday night for Tulsa. I'll probably do a more detailed breakdown on that tomorrow. Once again, I'll have a more detailed live stream on the severe weather tomorrow and Tuesday, probably at some point tomorrow afternoon. With that being said, I already had a video earlier today kind of highlighting where the greatest threat of severe weather would be and all that sort of stuff. So if you have any like specific questions, definitely check that out. All right, just a quick recap on what's happening right now. We do have a damaging windstorm near Youngstown that has a confirmation of at least damaging winds around 65 to 70 miles per hour. That is moving towards Newcastle, Pennsylvania right now. We got plenty of storms near Slippery Rock and as well as back over near Grove City. These are all capable of lots of lightning, in addition to some large to very large hail. We do have multiple hail cores right now embedded in this area of storms. All these circles that I'm currently outlining right now, those are all various hail cores. Literally all of these black circles are indicating at least somewhere around dime-sized hail up to even as high as ping pong ball-sized hail right now. Anywhere from Interstate 80 back into areas near Monroe, Marianne, and Limestone. So plenty of hail right now falling in these areas. Once again, $half-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds are going to be the main concern with this particular cluster of storms. The one that's back over near Youngstown is producing up to ping pong ball-sized hail. Lots of lightning right now. As of this current time, we don't really have a whole lot of rotation location out there. It's mostly a damaging wind risk right now, but we are going to be monitoring the threat for an isolated tornado or two, and the main concern for that will be in western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio, where there will be at least some more elevated threat there for an isolated tornado here over the next couple of hours. I do think the greatest tornado risk will be between now and about 7:30, 8 o'clock tonight. So it's really, I think, going to be in the next 2 hours when we actually have a tornado risk. So once again, we will be keeping you posted with the latest. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll be, again, keeping you posted with the latest as these storms do evolve. All right. Thank you, Waco, for the $5 super chat. What's the threat for Waco in Texas on Tuesday? I don't think you're in a risk. If you are, it's like the tail end of that slight risk. If you get any severe weather, it's mainly going to be isolated large hail. I don't expect much else than that, though. Okay, I'm getting so many pronunciations. Scranton. It's such a hard name to pronounce. Like from The Office. I've never watched The Office before, for the record, so I couldn't tell you. Never watched The Office, believe it or not. It's so sunny in central Ohio. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's sunny out, but that doesn't always mean there's going to be severe weather. I know in a lot of cases, during the spring especially, it feels like there's going to be severe weather just due to how sunny it is. Creates instability, all that sort of stuff, but that's not always the case. A lot of the time that happens, but like you don't actually get anything. I mean, it just depends on the setup. And I think over in like central Ohio, for example, I don't think there's nearly as much moisture. Yeah, the moisture is lacking near the surface, so it's not really a primed environment if you're over in like central or western Ohio. I don't even know if I want to try pronouncing this anymore. We've been trying to pronounce this for like 20 minutes. Is this the only line that's coming? This is it. This is the only round of storms that we're going to have. It's not like a multi-round event. With that being said, it is a much more numerous to widespread area of thunderstorm activity. So it's covering quite a bit of square mileage across Ohio and Pennsylvania. Overall, again, the main concern with all these storms will be damaging winds, large hail. We have a more elevated large to very large hail threat with these storms right now that are ongoing back over near St. Mary's and Sandy. And as these move down to the south and east, that large hail threat will still exist, but it'll kind of go down a little by little as it moves down towards like State College and Altoona, and as well as Pittsburgh. In addition to that, we also have a threat for a couple of tornadoes. And I do think the greatest tornado risk will be across this area here, back near Wheeling, Pittsburgh, Interstate 76 stretch right here, and then back over just to the south and west of Sandy. And that's if these tornadoes, if that rotation actually gets going, we could see a tornado. It's kind of up for grabs at this point whether we'll actually have a tornado in this area, but I'll have to wait and see. Again, it's a possible chance at this point. They've labeled it as a couple of, or a tornado or two are possible. So we'll see if that ends up happening. Again, it may or may not happen. We'll have to wait and see. Incredible award-winning coverage today. What award have I won? Do I get a cookie? Greetings from Lock Haven. Lock Haven. Where in the world is Lock Haven? Oh, it's over here. Yeah, Lock Haven, you're gonna get hit probably in about an hour or so, maybe 30 minutes from now. Let's quickly track out this storm. Actually, might be a bit sooner. The other radar was showing it a bit further back up to the north. So storms are going to be approaching you probably in the next half an hour here. We'll do a little track on this. And once again, all these storms right now are moving about 60 miles per hour to the southeast. So these are very fast-moving storms. But if you are in Lock Haven in particular, you're probably going to hit by these storms here relatively soon. Usually it shows the little circles on the map. Let me see if I can do this again. Nope, not going to show it. Let me see where I can find Lock Haven on here. You got about half an hour, so yeah, a little under half an hour from now, you'll be getting hit with some damaging winds, plenty of lightning, and some large hail. I don't think we're going to get too much of a tornado risk out of these storms back out here to the east of really the main cluster that's back over in western Pennsylvania, but definitely a little bit of damaging wind potential in here for sure. All these bright green colors here on the leading edge of these thunderstorms, that is where the greatest potential for damaging winds is going to exist. And This is again all moving down to the southeast at about 60 miles per hour, so very fast moving storms, and that is why today, if you are in Pennsylvania or Ohio, you should stay very vigilant. There is tons of lightning with this activity. As I mentioned before, we currently have around I'm getting the exact number right now. We currently have about 225 lightning strikes every single minute. That is 4 lightning strikes a second, by the way. So there's a lot of lightning. Let's just say that. And it's going to definitely be a very electrifying day here across parts of Pennsylvania and Ohio, with lots of lightning with these storms. New severe thunderstorm warning. Speaking of Lock Haven, you are now included in a new severe thunderstorm warning. That also includes Lamar. Jersey Shore near Interstate 80 is also included in this. So if you are in this particular warning, obviously stay indoors. And once the storm gets a bit closer to you, I would recommend staying away from windows. That is, again, a brand new severe thunderstorm warning there. We currently have, I believe, 6. Yeah, we have 6 severe thunderstorm warnings right now. And again, the warning counter at the bottom right of your screen will give you that exact number. Thank you, Ethan, for the $1.99. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I will check it out. That's near Allentown. That's eastern parts of Pennsylvania. So really, if you're anywhere in eastern Pennsylvania, again, the main concern today is damaging winds, and that applies to you as well. I wouldn't rule out maybe like, you know, some sort of maybe isolated large hail event, but I think that's really about it for you. I don't think you're gonna have anything too substantial or out of the ordinary there. I don't think you're gonna really get a tornado risk out that direction. And the main time frame is probably gonna be closer to like 8 to 9 o'clock tonight. So that'll be the main concern back over there. Thank you, Ghosty, for the $1.99. W haircut. Appreciate that. Yeah, I got this haircut. It was I had to cut my hair down about 3 or 4 different times. Like, no joke. It was too long, and I kind of kept getting it cut down, and it's still a little bit long on the top, but I don't mind it too much. We aren't in the peak of summer yet, so the summer heat is not killing my hair right now, or killing my vibe. Because that heat can make you sweat super easily during the summer. Almost no matter where you are. It's always like that across the United States. Go bald? Why would I want to go bald? Everybody's been saying military cut. It's just a high fade. That's all it is. It's it wasn't meant to be reminiscent of a military cut, but it kind of looks like that. Yeah, it could be a bit longer. It could be a bit longer. I was about to say, it could be a little bit shorter. The sides are, again, it's a high fade, so the sides I get buzzed down and all that, so. With that being said, this haircut was like, haircuts have gotten expensive now. They're up to like 25 bucks. It's gotten kind of crazy. And plus tip, you know, it's up there nowadays. I think I remember like 2 years ago, it was like 18 bucks. It wasn't much compared to now. Thank you, Douglas, for the $9.99. Hope and pray nothing happens. This is, again, this is not something you should be terrified of by any means. Obviously, you should stay weather aware. This is not a significant severe weather event like what we're probably talking about at least on Tuesday, maybe even Monday. I honestly would not be super concerned. I would just stay weather aware and have multiple ways to receive alerts, and you'll be all right. There's no reason to panic. This is an event that is not going to be a tornado outbreak. It's not it might be a severe weather outbreak, but definitely not a tornado outbreak with this particular setup. Definitely a lot of damaging wind potential here. Get up to 60 miles per hour, large hail, but we're not talking about something that's off the walls crazy today. A lot of these storms that are currently ongoing are producing damaging winds, and again, it's a numerous threat because almost all these storms right now are producing at least some level of damaging winds. The main reason why we are alive is in case one of these storms does try to produce a tornado, which we'll probably know by about 7:30 if any of these storms are actually going to try to do that. And by 7:30, if nothing really too crazy is happening, I think that it will be all right to, you know, end the live stream there. It might only be like a 2-hour day, but we'll see what kind of happens here over the next hour, and we'll see if any of these storms do get going with that tornado risk. Without a doubt, though, these are all producing some pretty significant damaging wind potential, at least up to 60 miles miles per hour. And with this terrain being with lots of trees across Pennsylvania and Ohio, it's obviously something you want to be mindful of, is that if a tree does fall, it could knock out power because, you know, there's tons of trees. In addition to that, if you live near trees, they could fall onto your home. So you want to make sure that you are staying away from windows as these storms do get closer to you if you are included in a warning. Thank you, Jeff, for the becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the velocities. By the way, how do you guys like the new style of thumbnail for live streams? Just let me know. It's a bit of a different style that I was trying out on this live stream. That way it could differentiate videos a little bit too, so they don't all look the same. Thank you, Kimberly. I've gotten so many compliments about my haircut. Haven't had a complaint yet. Fun fact, last week, after a live stream, I got emailed a complaint about my haircut. Or my hair, I meant. Not my haircut, my hair in general. It was so long. And I got a complaint emailed to me for the first time ever about my hair being too long. I was like, okay. I was actually getting a haircut like 3 weeks ago, but I wasn't able to do that because we had so many live streams in a row. It got kind of crazy. By the way, it actually happens very frequently at news stations. If you work at a news station, if you are a TV meteorologist, if you are a newscaster, whatever it might be, you actually get emails quite often. I know a bunch of various meteorologists. Like I've met a ton of them at this point from various TV stations. And actually on Thursday, I'm probably going to be going to a Fox TV station. So I'll be able to kind of meet some people. And I'm hoping that there's no severe weather on Thursday. If that's true, then we'll be going on a little trip to Fox and like a local Fox station, and I'll be able to meet some meteorologists there. But yeah, a lot of meteorologists and, you know, news people, all of them, they do get emails about various things like complaints or whatever it is. And you can imagine if your you know, television gets interrupted, you know, if you're watching, I don't know, The Bachelorette, and all of a sudden there's a tornado warning. You know how many people get furious and email, you know, meteorologists and stuff? It's a high number. Now, luckily here on YouTube, we don't have to worry about having Bachelorette running and then having to go live with severe weather. But, you know, on TV, it's a big thing. Welcome back, Lemur. Hey, Scrubby, for the $5 super chat. I watch your forecast you uploaded today. Here's a tip for you saying that much and hardly breathing. It's pretty typical. I'm working on, like, breathing exercises and trying to, like, you know, actually take appropriate breaths, especially in videos. But I got into this, like, habit where I just don't on video, on YouTube in particular. Now, I've done in real life green screen forecasts, and I don't have that issue. But on YouTube, for some reason, I do. I'm not sure why. It's weird. Am I gonna be a dancing meteorologist? No. I'm not gonna be that person that gritties their way on over to the green screen. I can't remember his name. Back to weather, real quickly. Let's just do a quick update, and then we can kind of go back to whatever. Right now, again, we do have multiple severe storms across Pennsylvania. We have no warnings right now for Ohio. These are all now in Pennsylvania. The main concern with all these, again, being damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. In addition to that, $1.50 sized hail is possible near Grove City and as well as Slippery Rock. Notice we have a huge amount of lightning right now associated with the storm near Newcastle. So some cloud to ground lightning is going to be possible. That does mean that some lightning could strike things like homes, buildings, potentially even trees, that sort of thing. So be mindful of that as these storms continue to move down to the south and east. Luckily, this is not a dry thunderstorm, meaning that we're not having lightning while there is no rain. So hopefully, if there is anything, you know, any lightning that strikes, you know, a building or whatever, hopefully the rain would take it out. But it is a possibility here. So just be vigilant. Keep that in mind if you are anywhere here in Pennsylvania. But the storms right now near Grove City are producing $1/2 sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And then back over to the east, we have another storm moving through areas just north of Clearfield, and the main concern with that storm right now is damaging winds up to 60 with quarter-sized hail, and that'll be approaching Clearfield, Catharus, and as well as Snowshoe and the Bigler area over the next 30 to 45 minutes. And then for those in Lock Haven and as well as the Jersey Shore area, we still have a storm here that is producing damaging winds up up to 60 miles per hour. In addition to that, there is definitely going to be some hail with this one. Up to quarter-sized hail is possible. And then the other one that's back over further to the east, that's going to be approaching Williamsport, is also producing quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And then this lonely storm back over near Towanda is currently producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour, but not nearly as concerning, I would say, as the storms that are further back out to the west that are much more organized with lots of lightning and also the potential for some large to even sometimes very large hail over the next little while. Once again, all these storms are moving southeast at approximately 60 miles per hour. That is a big 60, not a small, or actually now 65 miles per hour. So these storms are moving at the pace of a slow driver on an interstate, like interstate maybe 76. I don't know what the speed limit is here, but assuming it's 70, it's like a slow driver on the interstate. That's the speed it's going at right now. We do have another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued for those in Clearfield, Phillipsburg, Belafonte, Lamar. This is near Interstate 80. And Sandy is also included in this one. That's for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. The poor lonely storm. That's back over here near the place I can't pronounce. Northeast of Williamsport. That one lonely storm. And we got this whole cluster right now moving through Pennsylvania. How many inches would you consider large hail? It's not what I consider. It's what the weather dictionary essentially considers it, which is 1 inch sized hail or greater would be technically severe and large. Small, I'll kind of give you a quick little rundown, but small hail is anything 0.99 inches in diameter or less. Usually in most cases, we do not actually say this number. It's usually going to be, something like 0.88, which is nickel-sized hail, something we at least can measure with. So anything basically in this diameter or less would technically be like small hail. Large hail is anything that is greater than 1 inch in diameter. And anything that I consider significant hail, that's the terminology I'll use, is usually golf ball sized hail or greater. And then very large hail, which is another, again, technical term, would be 2 inch diameter hail or greater. Which, as of now, we don't have any significant or very large hail happening right now. All the storms are under ping pong ball size still at this point. Looks like it just passed by Salem, Ohio. Yeah, if these storms have already passed you, you're pretty much done. Again, if you're back over in like eastern Ohio, though, back over in this area, that's in the severe thunderstorm watch, we may see a couple of isolated storms develop here, so just keep that in mind. That's from Youngstown and back down to the south. The moisture is a bit more lacking in this area, so we'll see if anything gets going, but I do think the main and greater concern will be out of any storms that are already ongoing. We have another large severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued. Once again, very marginal severe weather threat, but with that being said, it is still a severe weather threat. Damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and now been downgraded to quarter-sized hail for those in Dayton, Kittanning, Ford City, Rural Valley, Rayne, Butler. I'm going to try to pronounce that name. Limestone, Toby, and Slippery Rock, and as well as Grove City, all included in this. This is for damaging winds up to 60 and quarter-sized hail, and as well as frequent lightning. And once again, this is all moving down to the south and east in fairly rural parts of western Pennsylvania. These storms, though, again, are going to be probably approaching Pittsburgh in about an hour and a half or so. So not too far from now. Oh, is Puxatawny the, that's Phil, right? The groundhog. It looks like a much more complicated pronunciation on this map. Is that where they do the groundhog thing? Just curious. I'm guessing that's where they do it. You learn something new every day. I guess that's actually where they do it. I didn't know they did it in Pennsylvania. You learn something new every day. I feel like I should have known that information, but it's alright. Home of Phil. Good old Phil. The groundhog that either gives us more winter or less winter. This year it was less winter. And it actually pretty much played out as the groundhog did, unless you were in the Northeast. The Northeast had that winter storm literally like a week ago or so. Or yeah, about a week and a half ago. Had that large winter storm. A little bit of a late winter for those in the Northeast, but most of the United States end up having a early spring. By the way, if you guys have any photos or videos of these storms, you can tweet me on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. Please mention me, do not message me. And in addition to that, if you have photos that you would like to send in another way, we are also on Facebook at MaxVelocityWX. I'll be posting the link to our Facebook page in the chat here in a second. Also, all of our social links are in the description below. Make sure to follow us on Facebook if you've not already. We're doing more updates on Facebook nowadays, so make sure to follow us there. Tuesday's not looking good at all. Yeah, I think Tuesday is honestly going to be the worst day of the entire week. I think Monday is going to be just... I wouldn't say a bust, but I just don't think it's going to be a big day unless we get some sort of... just some way that the cap is overcome really fast, because the cap's going to be in place all day, and it's going to be basically a matter of if we actually end up getting that cap to just go away. And in addition to that, if the cloud cover clears out enough, and if the dry line sets up fast enough, it's going to be a really big timing thing for tomorrow. If the trough does get to the Great Plains quick enough, there will definitely be a tornado outbreak, or at least some sort of severe weather outbreak that unfolds. But it's so contingent on that happening, it's just such a stretch at this point. I honestly think the chances of us having an outbreak tomorrow are like 15 to 20%. It's a very highly conditional threat tomorrow for a severe weather outbreak or something like that. And that's why the Storm Prediction Center only has an enhanced risk in 2 different areas, because the one in Nebraska I do think will happen. I do think we're going to get some significant hail up there. The threat that's back down in like Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas is way more conditional. So I think overall it's a very big toss-up right now. This is the threat, by the way, for Monday. So we have a double barrel enhanced risk, one in Nebraska and Kansas. We've got another one in Oklahoma and Texas. Once again, this very easily could be a moderate or even maybe even a high risk. I wouldn't even rule that out if we had the correct timing, because the ingredients are just all there, but I think the timing is going to be such an issue. And then we have a cap, which is the other issue. So there's a couple of issues with this, but the ingredients are just crazy and off the shelf pretty much, or off the shelf. We're not talking about a grocery store here, but you know what I mean. Obviously, very favorable environment for Monday. Tuesday, on the other hand, is, I think, more favorable just due to the fact we don't have those 2 issues for Tuesday. Overall, we'll have definitely a potential for a tossing trampoline outbreak, maybe the great migration of trampolines of 2024 on Tuesday, as there will be a significant damaging wind risk and an elevated tornado risk. Probably going to get a couple of strong tornadoes either in southern Iowa or northern Missouri, and maybe even another area down here near Arkansas for a couple of strong tornadoes. So definitely a few interesting days coming up. Tomorrow, again, very highly conditional on what ends up happening with trough timing, and if we have a dry line set up fast enough. There's just so many things that have to go right for that to be a big event at this point, even though everything's there, like shear and all that. So yeah, you don't have to go to the store and buy all the milk and bread off the aisles. It's not that kind of day, it doesn't look like. Hey, Douglas for the $4.99. Looks like the clouds are arriving. Thank you for the observation. I don't know where you are, but I appreciate the $4.99, and I thank you for your report. My opinion for Wednesday, I think Wednesday is just going to be a dumbed down version of Tuesday. I don't think we're going to have a whole lot on Wednesday. Main concern probably for Wednesday will be damaging winds. Could get like a low tornado risk going, but I don't think it'll be too significant. Here's the cloud cover, by the way. This is the satellite imagery across Pennsylvania and Ohio. Once again, very sunny skies out in front of this. We got plenty of instability, so these storms are going to continue to probably stay widespread for the next few hours until daylight heating ends, and then it'll be a bit more tricky for these storms to stay alive. And then even back over in Ohio, we got beautiful conditions there, mostly sunny skies aside from where the storms have developed. So, and lots of sunshine here across both Pennsylvania and Ohio. So definitely a pretty favorable environment here for there being some severe weather for sure. Lots of lightning, damaging winds, plenty of hail. We got everything. Akron, Ohio, I think you're also done. I think the severe weather threat is already kind of past you. Again, I would at least say weather aware until they remove the severe thunderstorm watch, but I do think overall the severe weather risk is definitely pretty much done there. I know for sure, Warren, you're pretty much done. Again, maybe something isolated in the next hour or two, but I think, again, there won't be any severe weather there, at least at the bare minimum. So, that's what I'm thinking, at least as of right now. What about Peoria? I'll do a more detailed either forecast live stream or video or something along those lines tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Again, it'll be more detailed on timing and threats and all that. But for the time being, we're mostly focused on today, and I would be more focused on tomorrow if we had something that was just more reminiscent there. But for the time being, we'll at least probably have a video, I think, tomorrow morning. And maybe, we'll see. And then we'll at least have a live stream tomorrow. And that live stream will be probably in the like early to mid-afternoon hours. We'll do like an update live stream or something like that. It's been sunny here all day in Wayne County. There's been sun all across the Northeast today. It's been very sunny. And that's obviously created the instability to basically fire up a lot of the thunderstorm activity that we have right now. And so once again, lots of thunderstorms out here. I do think this tornado risk, though, is going to struggle. I think really right now, at least from what I'm seeing, a lot of the storms are very linear. And so we don't really have a whole lot here that is showing me that we're going to get some sort of, you know, elevated tornado risk here anywhere. With that said, watch out if you're in Slippery Rock. We got a massive hail core here trying to develop. If you're in Slippery Rock, you need to be staying away from windows. We got a pretty large hail core developing right now near Slippery Rock, near Interstate 79. That is probably going to be some hail that's in the ballpark of like 2-inch diameter. So some Easter egg sized hail, a little bit late from Easter, but some Easter egg sized hail right now falling near Slippery Rock going towards Butler. Hope arising. I hope I do not work in the Scranton area. I still can't say it. I hope I don't work there because I can't even pronounce the city name. Yeah, you might see a shelf cloud. And we got 2 live cams on the right side of your screen. One in Fostoria, Ohio, with some small cumulus clouds. We also got Greencastle, Pennsylvania, which I believe if you look really far out into the distance there, I believe that's the overshooting tops in Greencastle. Try to pull up the full camera here in a second. It's on virtual railfan. And yeah, we got a significant storm down here, Slippery Rock. Again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. This is going to be for those in Slippery Rock. Going to be going towards the Kittanning area. And the main concern, again, here is going to be the threat for golf ball sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So once again, significant storm here. If you are included in this warning, stay away from windows, and also make sure that you are staying on the lowest floor possible. All right, so here, this is the live cam on virtual railfan. Very back left there of your screen, those are the overshooting tops back here. So that right there would be your overshooting tops. So that would obviously be from pretty far away. Again, Greencastle's back down in southern Ohio. So, or sorry, not southern Ohio, southern Pennsylvania. So you're still quite a ways away from that storm. Let me zoom out a little bit here. But again, the significant storm is going to be heading towards the Kittanning area near Butler. Large hail core right now developing near Slippery Rock. This is again capable of some golf ball sized hail. Would not rule out an isolated hailstone in there that is closer to the size of an Easter egg. In addition to that, damaging winds upwards of, once again, 70 miles per hour are going to be possible as that moves down to the southeast. Thank you, Complete, for the $5 super chat. Any books, websites, or other sources you recommend for those interested in learning about radar interpretation? I am currently in a radar interpretation class, believe it or not. I've got to say, hopefully this professor's not watching, but I've barely learned anything. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like in a full-blown radar interpretation class. I thought I would learn a ton from it. Didn't realize how boring it would be. I've literally learned, like, nothing. With that said, completely unrelated, or somewhat related, but not related to you. Honestly, I don't really have any great sources, like, off the top of my head that I could give you. I mean, I would just look up like radar interpretation or radar books or something, and you can probably find some stuff. I mean, I've done a couple of videos here on the channel that are a little bit older, but they're in the playlist tab, and I think they're public. Like something about like how to identify a tornado on radar, like that can help. Watching these live streams too, hopefully that helps a little bit as well. But yeah, but I don't really have any great sources off the top of my head that will help. Because I mean, all of the learning that I've done over time has mostly been just self-taught. It hasn't really been from a specific place, if you will. Thank you, Douglas, for the 199. Scranton? Did we get it? I'm not gonna be able to hold that. It's not gonna last. Wind picking up and dark clouds in Indiana, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Finch, for the report, and also thank you for your $2 super chat. Actually, I have heard that Convective Chronicles has some pretty good educational stuff, so they actually might be able to help you too. They're on YouTube. I've heard that, at least on Twitter. I did it! Throwing a party now. And I think we can officially go get a job now in that place. I'm not gonna be able to hold that though. That's only gonna last probably for like 2 minutes. Maybe storms in Youngstown at 10 p.m? No. I don't expect anything there at 10 p.m. I think really you're already done. You might get an isolated like shower or isolated storm between now and like 8, but it's a very low chance since you've already seen storms. I don't think we're gonna get really much there. Not seeing really a whole lot of rotation on this storm, by the way. I know it does have a bit of a hook shape right now, but I do think the main concern here is just large to very large hail near slippery rock. Not seeing any rotation, but definitely an impressive storm right now that's moving down to the east-southeast. Next places in track of this will include the West Sunbury area, Muddy Creek, Brady's Bend Township, Chicora, and Adams in, again, western Pennsylvania, with the potential for 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds and golf ball-sized hail. All this moving, again, east-southeast at about 65 miles per hour. Very fast-moving storm. Do you think the enhanced risk on Tuesday will get upgraded to a moderate? We'll see. Again, I don't really predict that sort of stuff. Unless it's like a day out. Sometimes I'll kind of talk about it a little bit, but definitively, I mean, I don't really have a prediction on that because there's still at least some time until that event. We're still over a day and a half out. There's really not a whole lot of a point in guessing the risk, in my opinion, because it very easily could be changing just due to the parameters that could be changing that are forecasted within a 24-hour period. Thank you, Jimmy. If I could get $1 for every haircut compliment I've gotten, I think I'd have $1,000. I've had a lot of comments about my haircut over the last 48 hours. Ever since Friday. What's the chances of this turning into a derecho? I would say a 0% chance. I don't think that's really even possible because these storms that are producing severe weather right now, I mean, when we go linear direction here, we are talking about storms that are currently, let's see, it's about 160 miles long, give or take a little bit of mileage there. I think they go a bit further east. Not super widespread for a damaging wind risk, for example here, but the amount of distance that they're going to be going here over the next few hours is a maximum of 110, 115 miles. That's about it. So these storms are not going to be going super duper far by any means. So, yeah, I mean, it's just not really possible. You would have to have damaging winds over like a 240 mile length for that to happen. We're not even going to get halfway there, I don't think, with this particular area of storms. I believe the severe thunderstorm watch has just expanded a little bit. Yeah, it's expanded a little bit south and east. So we got a few new areas now included in this severe thunderstorm watch. Once again, this watch goes until 11 p.m. tonight. It does include areas just south of Altoona and Lewistown now. So those areas have just been updated, or upgraded, I should say, into this new severe thunderstorm watch that goes until 11 p.m. tonight. So again, State College, Lewistown, and Altoona all included in that. Yeah, State College will get hit. Yeah, you're definitely getting hit. I have no doubt about that. Like, I know there's those memes that show, like, you know, the storm gets closer and closer, looks like you're going to get directly hit, and all of a sudden it just disappears. I don't think we're in that situation here. I do think that you are going to be getting hit by this area of storms. Probably in about 40 minutes or so, maybe a bit sooner. The main concern being damaging winds, lots of lightning, some isolated quarter-sized hail, but I definitely think College Station gets hit. to some extent with this activity. Again, it's a very widespread area here of thunderstorms. I mean, we have storms going all the way through Williamsport, so about 100 miles west to east. We got some lonely thunderstorms back over near the Scranton area. I got it again. There we go. Lasted more than 2 minutes near Interstate 81. But those are not severe as of right now. I do think really the most concerning storm that we have is actually near Slippery Rock. This thing is still blowing up in size, and we definitely have a large hail core. Lots of hail falling for sure. Got like kind of a little hook trying to develop there, but we don't have any sort of really rotation that has developed here quite yet. New radar scan for the velocities will come in here in a second. We'll see what that looks like. We will see if there's any rotation. There isn't much yet. We also have maybe some broad rotation near Brady's Bend Township. But I'm more concerned right now about this storm that is located here near West Sunbury and Muddy Creek. Thank you, Waco, for the $5 super chat. Is severe weather possible on Monday for Waco, Texas? It's a very low chance. I think the main concern will be to your north. Yeah, you're not even in the technical threat. I wouldn't rule out an isolated thunderstorm, but I think severe weather is very unlikely there in Waco. Yeah, so if we were to have any rotation with this, it'd typically be located there or maybe somewhere down in here. Let's see what the velocities look like. There's maybe a little bit of something there. But definitely a lot of hail. That's the main thing here, is that we have a lot of hail falling with this storm. I don't see a definitive area here of rotation with this particular storm, but this hail core is undoubtedly huge. I mean, we're talking Easter egg sized hail right now falling out of the sky near Slippery Rock. We're talking about legitimate Easter eggs falling out of the sky. Not the Easter eggs that you would want, but there are Easter eggs that are falling right now with this particular storm. This hail core is intense, and it is quite large. It's not just that, by the way. We have hail across this entire area here near Slippery Rock, approaching Muddy Creek, Chicora, and eventually going towards Adams and Brady's Bend Township. So if you're in any of these areas, obviously make sure that you're staying away from windows. This is quite the hail core that's moving down that direction. Thank you, Sandy, for the $4.99. Try saying Zelion Apoli. Probably not right, but we'll go with it. This is located in western Pennsylvania. I'll zoom out a little bit here. North of Pittsburgh as of right now. Moving southeast at about, or east-southeast at about 60 miles per hour. Now it's down to 50. Never mind. It's down. This particular storm is down to 50 miles per hour. So not going highway speed anymore, but it is going, I don't know what kind of speed. 50 miles per hour. I don't know. Just a fast road. We'll just go with that. This is the hail core now. It's actually kind of split into two parts now. Got our main hail core here. The reflectivity value is the highest there. We got another one right here near West Sunbury. And this entire area right here, again, producing the threat for some large to very large hail, upwards of Easter egg sized hail possible as this continues to move to the east-southeast towards Chicora. That is, again, about 2 inches in diameter. That will be possible as this continues to move to the east-southeast across parts of western Pennsylvania. And that hail core very reminiscent here on the correlation coefficient. So anywhere in there that's representing at least some large to very large hail that is being picked up now by the correlation coefficient radar. And again, this will be moving towards Worthington and Kittanning over the next several minutes. So definitely a very intense storm right now that's still ongoing. Not seeing a lot of rotation, once again, but we definitely have a lot of hail falling here. I think this line will extend laterally into Ohio. I don't think so. But you might get an isolated storm or two over the next couple of hours. Sounds good, Paul. If you get any video, you can tweet us on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX, and you can also message me on Facebook at MaxVelocityWX. But preferably on Twitter. Long Island and New York, you're not in the potential really for severe weather tonight. If you get anything, it would just be isolated, like damaging winds, but that's a very low risk. By the way, Sandy, where's that location that you said on the screen? Is that in Pennsylvania? I hope that's not in the track of these storms, because if it is, that's going to be a absolute terror pronouncing that. No problem, Jen. New radar scan should be coming in here in a moment. Once again, we are tracking a very large hailstorm that is near Slippery Rock, approaching Chicora and Adams and Worthington. And again, this storm right now is producing some significant hail. We're talking upwards of 2-inch diameter hail that is trying to fall here back over near Muddy Creek. In addition to that, we do have damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Also moving down to the southeast, going to be approaching Chicora, Adams, and Worthington over the next several minutes. So once again, if you are in this area, make sure that you are staying away from windows. Recommended to be on the lowest floor possible as well, as the storm does continue to move towards areas like Adams and Worthington, and eventually going towards the Kittanning area. Those are the main areas in track of this particular area of storms. Thank you, Douglas, for the $4.99 super chat. Hard to pronounce names. This isn't even the hardest state to pronounce names in. It's actually harder in Wisconsin, I think. I think Wisconsin is way worse when it comes to city pronunciations. Here's the latest radar scan. We still got a pretty significant hail core moving towards Chicora and Adams near the Brady's Bend Township. And we got definitely some significant hail falling here, and it's probably again in the ballpark of 2-inch diameter hail, which means that this is in the size of Easter eggs. That's going to be moving towards Chicora, Adams, Worthington, Mahoning, Templeton. Going to be going towards the Kittanning area. And in addition to this, we are also watching for the threat outside of this still of some large hail that will extend as far south as areas near, I believe 173 is this roadway, or just north of Prospect, and also back over near 8 going through West Sunbury. So pretty large area here. The hail core itself does stretch approximately about 5 or 4.5 miles in diameter, so it's about 9 miles long. That's going to be continuing to approach areas near Chicora, Adams, Worthington here in Pennsylvania over the next several minutes. So once again, if you are in the severe thunderstorm warning, you should be staying away from windows. Make sure to protect your vehicle if you've yet to do that across Pennsylvania, as there is definitely that chance for some large hail tonight, as these storms do continue to move down to the south and east at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Rotation is getting stronger. I'm not seeing anything stronger here. If you're looking from the radar site from Cleveland, it is definitely going to show some stronger rotation, because we are looking into a hail core. And yeah, you can see that right here. That right there would be from the... Unless we got some backside rotation. Actually, maybe. Let's see. It's not very common that we see rotation on the northwest side of a storm. But we might have a little bit there trying to develop. And that's near Slippery Rock right now. This would be the latest radar scan. Yeah, I do think this is hail. I think that's just hail contamination. But it's very uncommon that we get like a rotation up in here. Just a very awkward spot for a storm to have rotation. And yeah, it's not showing it here. So I do think that's just contamination if you were looking from the Cleveland radar site. Overall, the rotation, if we do have any here, it's very broad still. It's not really intense at this point. Puxatawny is also seeing some damaging winds right now. Not seeing much hail in this activity. Mostly probably in the ballpark of like dime to nickel-sized hail, so mostly small hail. Further to the east, across areas like Clearfield, Bellefonte, and as well as Lamar and Phillipsburg, currently seeing damaging winds around 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. Lock Haven, near Williamsport, also near the Scranton area, still seeing some lightning, but nothing severe this direction. We still have a little bit of severe weather near Williamsport, The main concern, once again, is damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and as well as some quarter-sized hail. But the main concern right now is this large hail core that has developed back up near Slippery Rock, just north of Butler. And that'll be really beelining it towards Kittanning. So if you're in Kittanning, if you've not done so already, make sure that you are protecting your car, as there is definitely a chance here for some significant hail, in addition to damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. What about Cincinnati? Cincinnati is not seeing anything tonight. You're way too far to the west. There might be an isolated severe storm in northern New Jersey, but the risk overall should be on the lower side of things. All right, here's the latest radar scan as of 6:39 p.m. Once again, we do still have a pretty significant hail core near West Sunbury. This is again upwards of golf ball sized hail, maybe up to 2 inches in diameter. Still watching to see if we got any rotation, which as of now I'm not seeing any. If we have any rotation, it would be very weak, and it would be down in that black circle down to the south, and that's not really even connected to the storm. So as of, at least at this time, we are still really mainly dealing with the damaging wind and significant hail threat out of this storm, just to the southeast of Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, approaching the Kittanning area near Ford City. Rural Valley, also going to be on the track of this. And as of now, it's just north of Butler. So again, if you are currently in the severe thunderstorm warning, stay away from windows. There is the chance for some significant hail as this does continue to move to the east, southeast, and southeast over the next several minutes. Will I be live Tuesday? I am planning on being live Tuesday. It is a circle water bottle, yes. Yeah, there aren't any storms right now in Ohio. I'm still not ruling out that we get 1 or 2, but definitely a pretty low threat right now. We don't have any storms out there. We have plenty of instability. One of the biggest problems with the setup, though, in Ohio is the moisture. Now, if we do end up getting enough moisture here in the next hour, we definitely could get an isolated severe storm, but that risk is quite low at this current time. Would say right now it's definitely going to be a bit of a struggle for that to happen. But we will have to wait and see. Anybody know what the Cape values are today? Let me check real quick. I'll pull it up on here. We do have not a whole lot of instability, but we do have some. With how sunny it's been today, you would think it would be more, but this is the instability that we have today. And it's not super impressive. I mean, we have some areas in like Ohio that are upwards of like 1,500 joules per kilogram. That even then is not super impressive. We got some areas that are in like the hundreds across Pennsylvania, and that's not impressive either. But if we look in like the central United States as we go into tomorrow, this is a bit more impressive. Instability values near 3,000. So this is a lot of instability. That's plenty for severe weather. So that's what we're talking about comparatively from like a low amount of instability to a bit more of a higher end amount of instability. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about, instability is basically like putting gasoline into a vehicle. It's what helps fuel severe storms. So that's what we're looking at in regards to instability. We have jumped to 6 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have another one that has just been issued for a very large area. A couple of them, actually. One just issued for State College, Bellefonte, and Phillipsburg. And this is mainly for the concern for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. And then in addition to that, we also have a severe thunderstorm warning near the Nanticoke area, just south of the Scranton area, near Interstate 476. The main concern, damaging winds and isolated quarter-sized hail. Again, if you are in College Station or Bellefonte, you should stay away from windows as these storms do approach in case any trees do decide to fall down, and in case there are any flying trampolines out there across parts of Pennsylvania over the next couple of hours. Thank you, Adder, for the $2 super chat. Northern Cambria, Pennsylvania here soon. Opinions. Let's figure out where that is. We have another severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued as well. This includes areas near Brush Valley, Indiana, Rain, Rural Valley, Dayton, and Katanning. Main concern here is going to be damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Yeah, you're going to see storms probably in the next, like, 45 minutes if you're in Cambria, Pennsylvania. Main concern will be damaging winds. Am I going live Tuesday? I will be live Tuesday. At some point. Don't know when. Might even have to be live 2 times. I have something going on from 2 to 4, so we'll try to play around that a little bit. How's it going, Rex? Welcome back. What are factors that determine CAPE values? It's a bit of a detailed explanation. It mostly has to do with the temperature near the surface, how warm it is, if there's enough moisture, and we essentially trace a parcel in the atmosphere to basically determine our instability values. So the steeper lapse rates there are, like basically the steeper the temperature drops off in the atmosphere, and the warmer it is at the surface, usually equates to higher instability values. I would have to do a video on it though, because it's a very detailed topic that's not really necessary for this particular live stream, but essentially what it is. It depends a lot on the surface temperature. Thank you, Hillary, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate it. They've yet to cancel the severe thunderstorm watch in Ohio, or at least for Northeast Ohio. Once again, the watch does go until 11 p.m. I do think this area will probably get removed from it whenever they do decide to update it. This particular area, I think, will still stay in it for a little bit, just in case something does develop, but I still think that threat is pretty low. I do think the bulk of the action that we're going to see is going to be across most of Pennsylvania. And that would be anywhere from Scranton all the way back into western Pennsylvania near like Youngstown, Ohio, for example. That would be kind of the extent of these storms. Still got a significant hailstorm in progress north of Butler near the Chicora area, approaching Worthington and Katanning. Once again, this storm currently producing the threat of golf ball sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds. That'll be approaching Mahoning, Katanning, Rural Valley, Snyderville. New Bethlehem is also going to be on the track of this here relatively soon. So once again, just stay away from windows as this does continue to move to the east-southeast. Thank you, Hillary, for the $2 super chat. Will Michigan see any severe weather out of this? Not today. There is a low threat going into late Tuesday night, but I think mainly if you get anything, it would be Wednesday. But I still think that threat is also pretty low. I don't think there's anything too concerning for at least the rest of this week for severe weather. How's it going, Lily? Not doing too bad. Yeah, I don't think Michigan's going to really see anything for the next few days. I think, again, if you get anything, it would probably be on either late Tuesday night or early Wednesday. And overall, that threat still remains relatively low, in my opinion. I don't think we're going to have anything too out of the ordinary or anything too substantial when it comes to severe weather. What is lapse rate? You have to look at a sounding, like sounding data. Lapse rate is just how fast the temperature decreases as we go into the atmosphere. This is an example sounding from North Texas. So temperature at the surface is 73. This right here, this dashed line, is tracing the instability in the atmosphere, and anything between the temperature and that line would be considered instability. So you can see the instability is 705 right here. Going through the atmosphere, it's about 700 to 800. So that would be the instability in the atmosphere. So basically, the larger temperature gradient that we have here, the more the temperature decreases as we go into the atmosphere, the greater that instability value will be. And we've had events with instability as high as like 5,000 to 6,000 joules per kilogram. It's not unheard of. It's definitely something that does not happen very often. I will try to see if I can find anything in the next couple of days, though, that has instability values that are super high. But I don't think we have anything too high. I think the highest that we have in the next few days is like... we have what? Let me. I think we have one here that might be good. I'll show you an example of a high instability environment. Yeah, this is 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability. This is a pretty good example of instability. See how the temperature and the dew point pretty far away from each other, so we wouldn't get any storms in that particular environment, but this right here is a lot of instability. And that would be your instability line being traced up in the atmosphere. They're right about there. But lots of instability in that particular environment. Granted, that's 3,500 joules per kilogram, but once again, not enough moisture. That's one of the biggest problems with some of these setups is that, particularly on Monday, the moisture is not going to arrive really until late tomorrow night. So I do think tomorrow's setup is a bit funky. I don't know if we're really going to get anything super significant, but... Once again, if you are just tuning in, we do currently have a slew of different severe thunderstorm warnings. We have 5 total. They stretch from western Pennsylvania back into eastern Pennsylvania, so really just across the entire state. We have one right now near the Scranton area, just south of there. That has actually been upgraded. Let's go to a local radar site. This has been upgraded now up to ping pong ball-sized hail, with the threat as well of some 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. This is currently moving down to the southeast. Not seeing any rotation, but we definitely have at least some hail falling here near Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Going to be going towards Fairview. So once again, if you are in this area, be mindful, stay away from windows. Lowest floor possible, in case there is some hail that is being wind-driven. We also have another storm that is going to be approaching areas just southeast of the Puxatawny area, just south of Clearfield, going towards the Beccaria area, just west of State College. Wouldn't rule out some more significant hail in this activity. A little bit more of the white color showing up on reflectivity. That would be a bit more indicative there of some large hail. You actually can see that here on the correlation coefficient. We definitely have some hail falling. That's going to be approaching Curwensville and Beccaria, just west of State College, Pennsylvania. So again, stay away from windows. A bit more significant hail there, drifting across areas in central Pennsylvania. And then we do have that storm that is going to be still ongoing, just northeast of Butler. Most impressive supercell that we've had so far today. That is currently producing some golf ball-sized hail and 70-mile-per-hour damaging winds moving to the southeast. That'll be moving towards Kittanning, Ford City, Rural Valley, and approaching Mahoning. Indiana and Brush Valley will also be in the track of that down the road. But this has been our most impressive supercell thus far today. With that being said, it does not really have a whole lot of rotation. So we are still monitoring the threat of a tornado, but the threat right now is still on the low side of things until we get anything that's a bit more discreet, which that is if we get anything discreet, we might get an isolated tornado. But no doubt about it that this storm has been the most impressive thus far, and that's approaching Kittanning right now in western Pennsylvania. Grumpy, it's very situational, but usually moisture is more important than instability. Because if you don't have enough moisture, you're not getting thunderstorms. That's just how it works. Well, it also depends on temperature, right? If the temperature is 70 degrees and the dew point's 40 degrees, you need moisture. If the temperature is 70 degrees and the moisture is 65 degrees, then, or dew point, then you would basically need more instability. But again, it's very situational. Getting cloudy in Carl Isley. Don't even know how you say that. Yeah, it's really at this point, I mean, you can look at the live cam on the right side of your screen out of Greencastle, Pennsylvania. That at least gives you some sort of perspective here that there is very sunny skies for most of Pennsylvania right now. Greencastle's back down in southern Pennsylvania. With that said, though, is not really going to be like that forever. Because, again, it's very sunny across most of Pennsylvania, but if you're near the storms, it's not. We've had a very sunny day for the most part, but plenty of instability is built in to be able to create the threat for some thunderstorms tonight, and one of those areas being Greencastle. And here's the full view of that live cam on Railfan of Greencastle. So again, back around there, that is your overshooting clouds. Otherwise, it is completely sunny. So that those storm clouds that are out there probably 50 plus miles away, that would be what we're talking about with this particular thunderstorm that is still well out to their north. So gives you an idea at least of what's happening up that direction. Looks like this hail core is shrinking just a little bit. Definitely still have a confined area near Adams of golf ball sized hail. Once again, that is moving towards Atwood, Elderton, Rural Valley over the next several minutes in western Pennsylvania. Let's see if we have any other cameras here that might be able to see something. Let me zoom out a little bit here. We had another severe thunderstorm warning that was just issued actually further north near Monroe, Toby, and Limestone, Pennsylvania. This is associated with some new storm development that's been happening. That is for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning there. And that's moving east-southeast. I believe at about 50 miles per hour. Yeah, moving east-southeast at about 50 to 55 miles per hour right now. Yeah, that's our main live cam that we have right now. Thank you, Jake, for becoming a minimum velocity member. I do appreciate that, and welcome to the velocities. I will yes, I'll be live Tuesday for the 29th time. I'll have to say it a bunch more, but yeah, I'll be live on Tuesday. And depending on how long this live stream is, I wouldn't rule out that we do another live stream in like a couple hours for a forecast. If not, though, I'll probably save it for tomorrow. I think we'll probably save it for tomorrow. I've already done a video today. We've done a live stream. There's not really any new information. So I'll do a forecast live stream tomorrow. Probably around lunchtime or just after that. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. And click the bell icon down below so you're notified when we go live. But more than likely, we'll have a forecast live stream at some point tomorrow. So I can answer your questions about Illinois or wherever else it might be for both Monday and Tuesday. That'll be after the outlooks get issued, though. Once again, here is a widespread view here of all the thunderstorms stretching from Scranton back, or Scranton, sorry, back all the way through western parts of Pennsylvania. Again, plenty of thunderstorms ongoing right now, damaging winds, large hail being the main concern with all these storms right now. I'm running out of flavor on my circle bottle. We do have a new mesoscale discussion that was issued by the Storm Prediction Center not too long ago. This is for those across eastern Ohio and much of Pennsylvania. Thunderstorm wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour and isolated hail remain possible this evening. No mention of any tornado risk. Obviously, there is still at least a low tornado risk here across parts of western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio, specifically really in this area. They didn't really mention it here, but there's at least that isolated tornado potential in those areas. Again, damaging winds being the main concern with all these storms tonight, but maybe an isolated tornado or two. With that being said, I've not really seen a whole lot of rotation with these storms thus far. We have like some very broad rotation near Worthington, so there's a little bit of rotation there. We have a little bit of rotation near Bruin, which is north of that storm in western Pennsylvania. And then we don't really have any rotation right now with this cluster that's back over here near the Beccaria area, which is all producing damaging winds right now. So this entire area, mostly damaging winds and isolated large hail. And then the activity that's back up near Slippery Rock, Grove City. The majority of this activity right now is primarily damaging winds and large hail, but we do have a little bit of rotation here near Toby. We'll have to watch that closely. There's a little bit of rotation there right now near Toby, moving towards Limestone, and the long-term track of that would be the Puxatawny area, which is east of the Kittanning area of western Pennsylvania. But there is a little bit of rotation there that we'll have to watch for. And then that large hailstorm has now moved into areas just north of Katanning. They've not issued a new warning on that particular storm. It's associated with the warning that is for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So they may or may not issue a new warning on that one. If they do, Katanning and Rural Valley, main concern there is up to $50 to ping pong ball-sized hail. Dark clouds in Youngstown again, and the wind is picking up. Yeah, there are some storms that are firing out here to the west. Looks like we got one trying to fire up now over Youngstown. This is about 4 minutes old, but we do have a little speck here over Youngstown. Maybe something trying to fire off there. I'd have to look at the satellite imagery, but you might have another storm firing up there. We'll have to wait and see. But if there's another storm, the main concern would be isolated large hail and isolated damaging winds. What's the trampoline risk today? It is a medium risk for flying trampolines. Medium risk. Can tornadoes spin left or right or either way? They can be cyclonic or anti-cyclonic, so they can be clockwise or counterclockwise. They are typically, though, going to be counterclockwise, which is also considered cyclonic rotation. That is about 98% of tornadoes do that here in the northern hemisphere. 2% are the other way around. That's approximate, but that's about what the number is. So a vast majority of tornadoes that happen here are typically in the ballpark of, or are typically, not really in the ballpark, but typically are going to be cyclonic or counterclockwise rotation. Hopefully nobody lives in Puxatawny. That'd be a nightmare to pronounce. It's actually not that bad. It looks bad. I think spelling it out would be painful. Gonna zoom back into the storm near Parker. Once again, we do have some broad rotation here near Parker, going towards the Reimersburg area. It's not super impressive. That's going to be approaching New Bethlehem, Ringgold, Seminole, and again, going towards Puxatawny down the road. It's very broad and weak rotation right now, but I would be keeping a close eye on that. And then back over here to the west near Slippery Rock, we do have a storm developing here that also has a bit of a hook there, but not really a whole lot of rotation right now. But that might be something to watch for as that does continue to move down to the southeast as well. And long term, that would once again be going basically towards Puxatawny. That general vicinity would be in the track of that particular storm. And it looks like if you're in State College, was mentioning this earlier, you got some thunderstorms in your direction. The most intense area of this entire cluster is back over near Phillipsburg, and this right now is on track to head off just to your west. With that said, there's definitely going to be some damaging winds here moving down to the south and east. Upwards of 60 miles per hour, and a little bit of quarter-sized hail, and the main hail concern is with this activity here. That has just moved through the Kerwinsville area, south of Clearfield, Pennsylvania. That is going to be approaching the Beccaria and Phillipsburg towns over the next several minutes. This is the main concern for the time being. Locals call it Punksy. Okay. Good to know. Do I expect storms to develop in Ohio? I think if we do get any storms, they'll probably develop here on the west or the eastern side of Ohio, like in this area, just south and east of Warren. We do have a couple of little storms that are trying to develop now near Youngstown. I do think the bulk of the activity, though, is going to stay in Pennsylvania. So most of the storms that are severe tonight, they're mainly going to be in Pennsylvania, anywhere from between about Youngstown back towards the Scranton area, maybe western New Jersey later down the road. But definitely the main concern is going to be in Pennsylvania. But there are probably going to be a couple of storms that fire up here over the next hour. Not going to be anything too significant in my opinion. I think the majority of the significant weather will be here in Pennsylvania once again. But maybe an isolated tornado risk here near Youngstown, back near Wheeling. and then the majority of, if any tornado risk gets going, it'll probably be in this area, so mainly in Pennsylvania, but perhaps here on the Ohio and Pennsylvania border right here, we might get an isolated tornado in the next hour or two, and that's again mainly while we're live. We'll probably at least be live until 8 in case the tornado risk does get going. There are a couple of suspects with that right now, one of which is back up near Toby, another one near the Katanning area. That one not really rotating anymore, but there was a little bit of broad rotation. Have a little bit of very weak and broad rotation near Toby, and then another storm that just fired off near Slippery Rock that is also not really rotating, but it does have a little hook shape, so we'll have to see if that tries to develop into anything here soon. But overall, I do think the majority of these storms, again, going to be damaging winds, isolated large hail, and then maybe an isolated brief tornado. How's it going, Alma? Welcome back. Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. I see you here a lot. Another severe thunderstorm warning just issued, and this one's going to be back over near Lock Haven and Lamar. And this is because there is a bit stronger of an area of storms here between this and the one near Phillipsburg. It's back over on the very far left side of your screen, but lots in between here that's much weaker storm activity. Just strong storms, I would say, right now for those in State College, Bellefonte, and as well as the Phillipsburg area. With that said, this storm now warned for 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. This will be approaching areas near Selinsgrove, just west of Sunbury over the next several minutes. This is again moving down to the south-southeast at approximately 55 miles per hour. So once again, these are very, very fast-moving storms across much of Pennsylvania right now. No problem, Skydancer. What's the forecast for Tuesday? If you want to know more about the threat of severe weather for either Monday or Tuesday, you can watch our video from earlier today. That is on our channel. That has all the details for you, and we'll give you a more detailed and comprehensive breakdown on what to expect. With that said, if you have any specific questions by tomorrow, I will probably have a forecast live stream at some point tomorrow, and that will be happening probably in the afternoon. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Click the bell icon down below, and I will obviously have a notification for that if and when we do go live. No problem, Pauline. Chance of darkness tonight. It's gonna get dark tonight. I think you got a photo on Facebook. Let me check that real quick. And again, if you do have any photos or videos, you can tweet us on Twitter at MaxVelocityWX. You can also message us on Facebook, which is at MaxVelocityWX as well. I do recommend it being on Twitter, it's just easier, but I'll also be checking our Facebook. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued between Grove City and Katanning. Yet another one if you're in Katanning. I think Katanning's been in 4 different warnings, by the way. And this is mainly for the threat of half-dollar sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So once again, brand new severe thunderstorm warning here. Make sure you're staying away from windows. This is for Slippery Rock, Grove City, Katanning, Rural Valley, Dayton, near Ford City. The storm again moving east-southeast. Puxatawny will be in the track of this long term. So again, another severe thunderstorm warning. That is, I believe, the 4th one now that's been issued specifically in Katanning over the last hour. So if you live there, I'm sorry, but you've been under 4 different warnings. So you might get another one at some point. It's a lot of notifications in your phone that's popping up right now because of this activity. Hanaroni, it's on the left side of your screen. It would be under weather alerts. And then you go into settings and flash. I kind of wish they had like maybe like a 2 or 3 minute option, but it's fine. Oddly specific stuff. Hey Rory, 100K. We had 100K, like, it's kind of funny. People are still saying congratulations on 100K subscribers. We literally hit 100K about 50 days ago now. We just hit 150K like 2 days ago. So it's kind of crazy the amount of growth that's happened recently. And we're about 100 away from 151K. So if you've not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Pennsylvania just went yellow on the power outage map. 10,000 without power. Yeah, it's this is the power outage total here. 10,000 without power right now in Pennsylvania, which is a very small fraction of the population of Pennsylvania, but at least gives you the idea that, again, these storms are producing some significant damaging winds. They're knocking down trees and power lines. And so, obviously, if you are anywhere in Pennsylvania tonight, have, again, multiple ways to receive alerts. Have a tornado action plan in place just in case one of these storms tries to go tornadic. I would also say that make sure you have flashlights on hand just in case you do lose power, because we're getting pretty close to sunset, and once the sun sets, it's going to be pretty difficult to see out there if you don't have a flashlight, and also have your phones charged up just in case, because again, if you lose power, you're going to need those sorts of things here in this particular environment. Oh, it's your first time watching me since? I gotcha. that happened. I mean, it only happened 50 days ago. It wasn't super long ago, but I appreciate it. Pittsburgh will probably get storms around 8:30, probably between 8 and 10. Give or take 30 minutes on that. It might be a little bit later than that. It just depends on how fast these storms move down that direction. They're not super far from you, but all these storms right now are moving east-southeast. So they are moving all into a direction that is not going to get them that quickly to you. Even though they're moving very fast, they're not really going in that direction. So it's going to take probably about an hour or two for them to get down that air towards that like latitude, for example. Once again, I'm not seeing a whole lot of rotation right now in this storm near Slippery Rock, even though it does look like it could be rotating, has like that little hook shape kind of. It's not really rotating right now. The main concern, again, will be damaging winds here. If we do somehow get something organizing here, we definitely could see a tornado risk evolve, but it is still a relatively low chance even with this storm as it continues to move towards areas like Katanning, Dayton, and Rural Valley over the next several minutes. Lots of various storms up in here, though, that are back over in western Pennsylvania that are all producing more of a hail risk right now. The greatest damaging wind risk is really back over west of State College with this particular cluster of storms. But what's back over here to the west is more of a large to very large hail threat that has been trying to develop. And once again, not really seeing a lot of rotation in that line of storms, but we do at least have a couple of broad spots that have developed in these more discrete cells or semi-discrete cells, but they've still been struggling as well. No problem, Lucy. I'm glad you enjoy the videos and stuff. Southeast Ohio have any severe weather chance tonight? The main concern, if you get anything, would be isolated damaging winds. I do think the greatest concern, again, will be in Pennsylvania, but I'm not ruling out an isolated storm there that does try to go severe in southeast Pennsylvania. Cannot be ruled out. Scotty Scheffler won the Masters, by the way. Fun fact. Just popped up in my feed. Connecticut, not expecting much in Connecticut either, unless you get maybe an isolated storm on the western side of the state. But even then, I still think you're not really going to see much there. We are up to 9 severe thunderstorm warnings, by the way. We have another one that was issued recently for Bloomsburg. That is also for damaging winds up to 60. So all these storms right now or all these warnings are primarily for damaging winds around 60 miles per hour and up to $half sized hail. There's nothing higher than that at this point. So nothing higher in terms of hail or wind, but we have 9 different warnings. So a ton of storms out there right now. Connecticut also just a little radar loop here. Not seeing anything really in your area, but you might get an isolated storm with some sort of low damaging wind risk if it goes severe. But the majority of what we have right now is all in Pennsylvania. We got 9 different severe thunderstorm warnings across the entire state of Pennsylvania. All these storms right now moving southeast at about 55 to 60 miles per hour, so all very fast moving. And again, the main concern with any of this storm activity is going to be damaging winds, large hail, and an isolated tornado or two. Happy new haircut. Thank you. I need to grow out my hair for 3 months so I don't get more comments about my hair. I've gotten so many in the last 48 hours. It's pretty funny. like the virtual railfan live feeds. Yeah, we have live cameras now from virtual railfan that we'll be using throughout the rest of 2024 and probably after that as well, but those live cams will be on the right side of your screen. I'm planning on making an overlay where we have 6 different live cams and even storm chasers all at the same time, or 5, or whatever the number would be, and that would also include the live radar. So we are going to be doing some pretty cool things with this in the near future. And once again, I do appreciate all of our channel members. This is only possible with you guys. Obviously, it's not free to get access to this sort of stuff, so I do appreciate all of you that continue to support our page above and beyond. It does really help out a lot. With that said, again, we'll have a lot of these live cams, and this will be especially useful on Monday and Tuesday for any severe weather coverage that we have in the Great Plains and the Midwest, and even eventually into the Ohio Valley by Wednesday. So this will definitely enhance our overall live stream, having multiple views of these storms from various places for sure. It's definitely going to help. One of those warnings just was canceled back up near Sandy, or actually just expired. We still have 8 severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from the Scranton area back into areas near Youngstown, Ohio. So all these, again, still in Pennsylvania, but all of them are still producing damaging winds up to 60 to 65 miles per hour and some isolated large hail. And we'll zoom back into a few of these storms here in a second on the next radar scan. What about Allentown? Which Allentown are we talking about? Thank you for the 199. I tried brushing it up with a comb. Yes, I have. Welcome back, Shelly. You think Wednesday will be bad? I don't think Wednesday will be bad. I do think Tuesday will be a pretty active day. I think Tuesday will probably be the worst day, as long as Monday's overall moisture is not super significant, and as well as the cap stays in place. I do think Tuesday would be the worst day, with all modes of severe weather being possible, including damaging winds, large hail, and probably at least a few tornadoes on Tuesday. And again, I'll have a full detailed breakdown on that in our discussion forecast live stream tomorrow. I'll try to have a video in the morning, so stay tuned for that as well. In a cone? Oh, in a cone, no. No, I've never tried to make my haircut into a cone-shaped tornado. If I did that, I think it would look very awkward and weird. I think people would think I'm crazy if I try to make my hair into a cone tornado, or whatever it might be. I don't know if that's physically possible. You'd have to have like a few strands that you just grow out forever in like the middle of your head and hope they can make into a cone someday with some gel. It'd just be so weird. By the way, this hail core is growing right now near Slippery Rock. Again, this storm heading towards Katanning. Correlation coefficient showing a very deep CC drop near Slippery Rock. That means that we have a significant hail core in progress near Slippery Rock, upwards of golf ball sized hail. This will be moving towards Katanning, Rural Valley, and Dayton. And again, you are going to get hit by another large hailstorm, most likely. You just got hit by one. And guess what? There's another one coming your way. You might even get another one after that. So unfortunately, these storms just do not stop coming here in western parts of Pennsylvania. Have I ever been in a tornado warning? I've been in at least a dozen. I think I've at least been in a dozen tornado warnings in my life. At least. I've been more than that. I think the average person has been in a tornado warning at least once every like 3 or 4 years. I don't think it's super uncommon, unless you're in like Alaska or Canada or like northern plains or something. It's a little bit less common in those areas. Alaska especially. All right, here's the latest radar scan. Still have a pretty significant hail core developing near Slippery Rock, north of Butler. Once again, moving east-southeast. I'm not seeing really a whole lot of rotation. Once again, with the storm, it's mainly a hail concern, and this will again continue to move that direction to the east-southeast over the next little while. So once again, if you are included in any of these severe thunderstorm warnings, you should be continuing to stay away from windows. with damaging winds being the main concern. We do have a pretty significant area of damaging winds going towards Tyrone right now, west of College Station. This right here will be your main area of damaging winds. Got a little bit probably up over here near Phillipsburg as well. That's going to be moving closer to College Station here pretty soon, near Interstate 99. So if you're in College Station, this current time I would stay away from windows, as damaging winds will be a possibility with this activity. And if we go to the live velocities, which really mainly showing the damaging winds being not super strong, but if we have any damaging winds, it would be going through Tyrone right now and near the State College area within the next about 5 minutes or so. And then perhaps a little bit of large hail near Tyrone. That's really about it with that particular area of storms. And we are once again back up to 9 severe thunderstorm warnings. We have another one that was just issued back over near Nanticoke. Guessing that's how you say it, east of Bloomsburg. That is also for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. We also have a special weather statement issued back over near Youngstown. That's mainly for small hail and gusty winds. Not severe as of right now. So plenty of thunderstorms out there, but again, the severe weather is mainly isolated damaging winds and hail. No problem, Chris. Glad you enjoy it. I don't think my town is equipped with tornado sirens. There actually are a lot of towns that don't even have tornado sirens, for the record. It's not as common as you may think. It depends on where you are, once again. If you are in, like, the Northeast, there are very limited tornado sirens. There aren't very many places that have them, but if you're back down in Texas, every single town has them, and they blare them for severe thunderstorm warnings, quite frankly. So they do that very often, so it's actually a lot more common down in the southern plains and whatnot, which is not surprising. It's Tornado Alley. Now, we've had no tornadoes thus far. We haven't had any tornado warnings, at least confirmed tornadoes, but we haven't had any tornado warnings thus far. That could always change, though. You never know. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, we'll at least be live here through, I'd say at least through 8. And if there isn't anything significant happening by 8, we'll probably just end the stream there. So we'll stay live at least for the next 40 minutes. If anything develops, anything concerning, we'll stay live past that point. But a lot of the storms right now are mostly, I mean, it's obviously, it's pretty numerous to widespread damaging winds right now, but it's overall very marginal risks. We're talking, again, $half sized hail for the maximum hail. The wind threat is a maximum of 60 miles per hour. So nothing like that's astronomical, super dangerous, something that we've never seen before. Basically, we're not seeing anything like that right now. Again, that could always change between now and the next 40 minutes, so we'll have to, just wait and see what happens. And these storms are, again, moving very quickly at about 60 miles per hour. Just the overall nature of these storms is that they are currently located in a direct, they're basically going in a direction that is moving like east, and storms are developing to the west, so we're kind of getting multiple rounds of storms in like the same exact areas, and that can lead to flash flooding. And in this case, we just got a flash flood warning for Grove City, Slippery Rock near Toby, northwest of Katanning. So flash flooding is also going to become a concern if we get more storm development like this that's going horizontal west to east, because all these storms right now are moving west to east. So yeah, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings right now across the board, and then we also got the flash flood warning that has just been issued. Yeah, these storms have a ton of lightning. Let me quickly check the lightning data here. We have a boatload of lightning with these storms, which is really one of the, I would say, the greatest concerns, actually. It's going to be lightning, and as well as the threat for not just lightning, but also damaging winds. I'm not sure if this is bugged out or not, but as of right now, it only shows 25 lightning strikes a minute across the entire state of Pennsylvania. Sounds a little bit low. I would say, though, most of the lightning is going to be coming out of these storms that are back over in western Pennsylvania. I think the central and eastern Pennsylvania storms have some lightning, but it's not nearly as much. Again, this is the lightning detection over the last 5 minutes. Seeing a couple areas of lightning, a few of these white lightning strikes, but very isolated and fairly minimal lightning coverage right now across most of Pennsylvania. The majority of it is happening out of these new storms that have developed back over north of Pittsburgh. And the main concern with those, again, being some isolated damaging winds and large hail. Is there a cap in Ohio? I wouldn't necessarily say there's a cap. It's just a lack of moisture, really. Let me find a more recent sounding data for Ohio. So this would be Canton, Ohio, right now. This is a horrendous environment. Just horrendous. I mean, like, it's not horrible up here, but like the moisture is so split apart from the actual temperature. Just basically the relative humidity stinks in the atmosphere. It's like this is where clouds are trying to develop, and then past that point they struggle to really build into a thunderstorm because the moisture is just so lacking. At the surface, the moisture is horrendous, so any rain that tries to fall in the atmosphere might just evaporate before it gets to the surface. So not great. See if we can find any other locations here that are interesting. And again, that was Canton, Ohio. Now, if we go to Southeast Ohio, it's about the same. So I'm not going to show Southeast Ohio. Let's go to Columbus, Ohio. Yeah, Columbus is kind of the same way. So again, this is the temperature and dew point as we go up in the atmosphere. And again, temperature and dew point very split apart here. Again, there's a few spots where there could be a cloud layer, but it's not enough here for there to be like showers and thunderstorms, really. So not a super impressive environment here in Ohio. Pennsylvania, by the way, is not a whole lot better, but they at least have a much higher relative humidity than Ohio has. It's a pretty drastic change. Curious why the well, first off, the Storm Prediction Center issues tornado risks. But with that being said, the tornado risk tomorrow is super conditional, and that's why they've not issued a 10% tornado risk yet. It's going to depend a whole lot on timing with tomorrow's trough. And that is extraordinarily uncertain. Looks like we are getting a little bit of rotation right now near Chicora. Just a little bit. So we got a little bit of rotation developing on this particular storm, I believe. Maybe not. Nope, never mind. That's not rotation. Velocities were not updated. This would be, if we did have any rotation, it would be this. And yeah, it's not really lined up. So as of right now, not really any rotation. Even if it was rotation, it's very broad, but the velocities was 3 minutes behind. But that's the latest radar scan. It's at least some damaging wind potential here near West Sunbury and Chicora and Muddy Creek, Pennsylvania. But more of a hail concern right now. It's only warned for half-dollar sized hail, but I would not be surprised if we had some golf ball sized hail in this storm. Any risk for Doylestown, Pennsylvania? I will check it out, and thank you for the $2 super chat. That's north of Philadelphia. You do have a threat, but it's low. It'd be mainly for damaging winds after sunset. Very low threat, though. I don't think you'll really see anything, but isolated damaging winds cannot be ruled out. I hate this humidity. What, in Pennsylvania? Go down to like Texas or Florida during this time of the year. It's horrendous how bad the humidity is down there. I think Texas, the dew points are going to get into the 70s. Once we go into late tomorrow, it's going to get very humid. Yes, the state bird of Texas is a trampoline. It's the flying trampolines. Fun fact. Here's a new severe thunderstorm warning just south of Sharpsville. This is near Grove City and Slippery Rock. And we are actually not at 10 severe thunderstorm warnings. We are at 9. This is going to be for those in Newcastle, Elwood City, Butler, Slippery Rock, Grove City. Main concern is damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour and quarter-sized hail. So once again, Western Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. All of these storms moving west to east right now, so this is turning into a pretty significant thunderstorm event here. If you're in anywhere in these areas, you're getting multiple rounds of storms right now because of the nature that these storms are moving west to east. The flash flooding concern is ramping up as well, because the storms are just basically going over each other here in Western Pennsylvania. So that's going to continue to ramp up the flooding potential. And more flash flood warnings down the road very well could be a possibility. But storms just keep firing up right over Youngstown, and I would not be surprised if we get more of those. And probably going to be a new severe thunderstorm warning here soon for those in near Altoona and Huntington. I do think we'll probably get a new warning there pretty soon, and that's amazing timing. Wow, that is incredible timing. New severe thunderstorm warning for Huntington, Menno, near Mount Union. The main concern with this activity will be the threat for some damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. We do have a live cam in Altoona. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to see it, though, so give me 1 second. Yeah, actually, right now it's... So, Virtual Railfan does have a live camera in Altoona, but it's down for maintenance, I believe. So, fortunately, we do not have that right now, but if we do end up getting it, I will keep you posted. But with that being said, near Tyrone in Huntington, this storm right now is producing the threat of some severe weather, upwards of 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And quarter-sized hail. Yeah, the live cam is still down. Train. Is there a train? Did one just go by? I wasn't looking. Oh, actually, yeah. See the train at the bottom right. Some people are really fascinated with trains, and honestly, I've never been a train person myself, but it's, pretty cool. Train at the bottom right of your screen. Beautiful sunset there in Astoria, Ohio. Plenty of low-decked cumulus clouds. Haven't seen a train yet in Greencastle, but you never know. Might see one. Welcome back, Finn. Oh, your name is literally Railfan Caleb. It's funny. There's definitely a lot of people that are into trains. I've just never been that person. We are back down to 7 severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, this is a new one for those in Huntington. That's a much faster moving area of storms. 50 miles per hour to the southeast. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if this area of storms holds together. It could reach Harrisburg with some damaging winds. They may have to extend the severe thunderstorm watch a little bit. And then back over just south of the Scranton area. Just trying to remember the pronunciation. The main concern here, once again, just being damaging winds. We don't have really a great radar site on this. It's in between multiple radar sites, but not really any tornado risk with those storms as of right now. I would say, again, if we do get a tornado risk at all tonight, it'll probably come out of these storms back over here in western Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio. So far, we've yet to have any tornado risk really develop, but it is still a possibility with these storms over the next little while as they do continue to move to the east-southeast. With plenty of rain, a flash flood warning again for those in Grove City due to all the rain that's been falling there out of this train of thunderstorms. You see what I did there? Train of thunderstorms that's been developing in western Pennsylvania, north of Pittsburgh. But overall, nothing too significant as of right now. The highest hail that we have right now is $half size, and the highest wind threat that we have right now is 60 miles per hour. So again, just not super significant right now in this particular area. Trains are safer than planes? Are they actually? I don't know the statistic on it. I've been on a Amtrak train before. I gotta say, sleeping on a train is horrendous. It's possibly one of the worst things ever. Sleeping on a train. All right, here's the latest radar scan. Once again, we do still have a little bit of a hail core northwest of Katanning. We also have another small hail core near Monroe. We got a couple other ones near Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Once again, I'm not seeing anything super significant here, but potentially some quarter-sized hail, maybe some 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds in this area. And once again, these storms right now are moving to the east-southeast. So if you are currently included in these warnings, again, stay away from windows. There are a lot of thunderstorms in here. Obviously, all of these are various storms. I mean, we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5, 6, 7. We have 8 different storms, basically, or really 7 technically, in the severe thunderstorm warnings here. And we only have 3 warnings, so just keep that in mind. There are multiple storms ongoing here, lots of frequent lightning. Main concern, again, is damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. In addition to that, we definitely have some large hail in here, upwards of $quarter to $half sized hail. Nothing's too far beyond that, though. The main concern, again, was what I just said, with damaging winds and large hail with lots of lightning. So stay indoors at the bare minimum, but staying away from windows will also help out quite a bit. Tyrone has a cam? Do they? I didn't see it on their locations thing. Yeah, I don't see it on their website. Maybe it's on YouTube? I'm not sure if I can show it. Yeah, Railfan doesn't have one. There's another one, but it's like looking at the ground, so it's not really useful. Yeah, we got a little hook kind of developing here northwest of Katanning, but it's not really rotating. Yeah, we don't have any rotation here right now. There is a little bit of a hook shape to this, but I would definitely say more of the main concern, again, being large hail. And the fact of the matter is we have tons of storms all in the same area, so with all the storms being in the same area, a lot of the energy is being shared amongst the storms. We have tons of different storms kind of hindering development of other storms, so it's kind of a volatile environment right now where these storms are struggling to really mature and materialize into some sort of tornado risk. It's more than anything a marginal hail and wind risk right now when it comes to just the magnitude of the risks. Now with the the nature of this being more widespread, it is still pretty numerous to widespread severe weather threat across these areas with large hail, damaging winds, and in addition to that, the amount of lightning with these storms is definitely still well up there. So it's definitely the main concern as of right now across western Pennsylvania. And unfortunately, with this continuing, if we continue to see this train of storms that's developing, very easily could lead to some more flash flooding concerns here in western Pennsylvania. And obviously we do not need that, but it is a possibility. Damaging winds are also beginning to ramp up a bit more down near Menno, Pennsylvania, near Huntington. Main concern, again, being damaging winds with this area of storms, maybe some quarter-sized hail near Tyrone, moving towards Huntington and Menno. Long term, Harrisburg will be in the track of that. Greencastle, Pennsylvania is not too far from this area of storms, too. Don't know the exact location of Greencastle, but let me find out real quick. So here's Greencastle. Still a little ways out from this activity. I do think Greencastle will probably at least get some thunderstorm activity later this evening. But it may or may not be severe at that point. I don't think it'll be too severe on the southern border of Pennsylvania. And we also have storms ongoing south of Interstate 80 approaching Allentown, Pottsville, and Hamburg in the next 30 to 45 minutes. Majority of these storms are not really too severe. They still have a potential for some isolated damaging winds, but I don't know if these warnings will continue or not. Maybe for a little bit longer, but the overall severity of these storms has not been super duper significant comparatively to stuff that's back out to the west. So not super concerned about this activity right now. We may actually have a little bit of rotation back over near Mount Pocono, or Pocono, just west of there. Maybe a little bit of rotation there. I'm trying to verify with a closer up radar site, though. I think this is the closest radar site that we have. Yeah, we don't really have a great view on this storm, but there is potentially a little bit of rotation there near Mount Picano. The warning itself is still for damaging winds up to 60 and potential as well for maybe some isolated quarter-sized hail. If there is any rotation, it's not much, so I'm not super concerned about it, but there might be just a little bit there. Very broad if there is any. But we'll, again, continue to keep a close eye on that storm if it does try to develop into anything. And then once again, we got plenty of severe weather happening in western Pennsylvania. This will probably be the hot spot tonight for severe weather, as there's already been a ton of severe weather so far. There's definitely a chance we'll get more of that here soon. Pocono? Close enough. Thank you, never mind. Read the wrong thing. Thank you, Theme, for gifting 1 member. Appreciate that. Thank you. None of these storms right now are warned for 2-inch hail. There is definitely a chance, though, for some quarter-sized hail. Glad I could help you out, Dave. Hope you stayed safe. Yeah, I do recommend, again, if you're in any of these warnings, that you just stay away from windows. Just take the proper precautions, just in case any of these storms do try to knock down trees in your home or something like that, especially if you live near trees. Definitely make sure that you are staying away from windows, and preferably on the lowest floor possible as well. Trees can potentially even land on power lines, which can knock out power. We already have around 10,000 people without power in Pennsylvania right now due to the severe weather that's ongoing. Actually, now it's up to 14,000. So the power outage count is growing. We are now up to 14,000 people without power in Pennsylvania. That's out of about 6.5 million people. So with that being said, it's not a huge number comparatively to how many people live in the state, but one of you on this live stream could lose power. So make sure that you have flashlights on hand, because the sun is setting here relatively soon, if it is not already. We have 2 live cameras, both in Ohio and Pennsylvania, and the sun hasn't set quite yet, but if it, sets and you're in pitch black and the power goes out, that's on you. You need flashlights. You make sure that you have flashlights with you just in case, have your phone charged up, all that sort of stuff, just in case you do lose power from the damaging wind threat here, and even an isolated tornado threat still does exist. Another severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Puxatawny again, and as well as Dayton and Katanning, as well as Rural Valley and Rain. This is for ping pong ball-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So yet again, another warning for this area north of Indiana and northeast of Pittsburgh. Ping pong ball-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds will be possible. Another threat for severe weather here. We still have damaging winds going through Huntington, Pennsylvania, by the way. We got plenty of severe weather, again, heading through parts of western Pennsylvania. That is what we're looking at as of right now. A lot of these storms still severe with large hail, damaging winds being the main concern. Got a photo from Stephanie. This is an unbelievable photo. This is Stephanie over on Facebook. Look at this. This is a shelf cloud. This was out of Schuylkill, Pennsylvania. Don't know where that is, but pretty impressive view of the storm here. Wow, that's unbelievable. We got, it's like some sort of shelf cloud development here. Kind of like a little boat out structure as well. It goes kind of around. Pretty impressive view there. Thank you, Stephanie, for sending that in. Figure out exactly where that is. I don't think that's near Philadelphia. I could be wrong. Not sure where that exactly is in Pennsylvania, but pretty good photo there. Schuylkill, thank you. Where are the Marines shipping you to? I am not in the Army or in the Marines. I know my haircut kind of looks like that, but again, it's just a high fade. Pretty typical high fade sort of haircut. How's it going, Civ? Welcome back. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Altoona looks like it's going to get hit hard. Altoona's already kind of gotten hit, but you're probably going to get hit again. You know, the storms that were severe have already moved through you, but look at all this storm activity behind it. We have a legitimate train of storms that's developing in western Pennsylvania. A whole train that is developed. All these storms moving west to east at like 60 miles per hour. They're very fast moving. And it's very possible this train goes a bit further down to the south and starts to do it towards Altoona. So we've got this whole train of storms right now moving through western Pennsylvania, with damaging winds, large to very large hail still being a possibility, and maybe an isolated tornado. But Altoona in particular, the storm activity that has initially gone through was a bit weaker. So apparently there may have been a brief landspout or tornado near Ford City, is from what I'm hearing. That's back up near Grove City, I believe. It's up in here somewhere. It's not confirmed, but it's something that I've been hearing a little bit of on Twitter. Also have a photo of it now. That's near Katanning, so that was from probably a little bit earlier. There may have been a brief tornado or landspout there not too long ago. Now on radar we haven't really had anything, but see if I can find anything else on that. I'm not seeing a whole lot on it, but there may have been something brief there. I'm not ruling it out. But at the time of the radar when we had rotation earlier, it wasn't super intense. So it's unknown as of right now, but we'll, again, keep you posted if we get any more details on that. If there was any tornado, again, it was very brief, and that was probably about an hour ago from now. Thank you, Mike from Florida, with the very generous $50 super chat. I really do appreciate that, Mike. Appreciate your generosity. Please give some hearts in the chat for Mike, the $50 super chat. Football is well in Florida, and again, I appreciate your $50 super chat. It's very, very generous. Did the National Weather Service give a rating on the wedge in St. Augustine? Yeah, they already rated that. That was a EF1. Sustained winds were about 100 miles per hour. It looked way worse. We've had a lot of photos that were the actual tornado itself. It was a massive wedge tornado in St. Augustine, Florida, or near St. Augustine, Florida, and it was one of the weakest wedge tornadoes I've ever seen. Like, one of the weakest wedge tornadoes I think I've ever seen. That thing was... Officially, the width of it was like 300 or 400 yards, so it's about a fifth of a mile wide or so, but still, that was a big tornado for only being like a EF1. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, that train is just, I think, moved out of the picture. I could be wrong. Yeah, in Fostoria, Ohio, where we have a low deck of cumulus clouds on the right side of your screen. We got Greencastle, Pennsylvania, which it might look kind of weird to you with the cloud layer, but that is actually upper level clouds that have moved into the area from the overshooting cloud tops across much of central Pennsylvania. Here's what it looks like right now. So we got all sorts of storm action. A lot of the storm clouds that are reaching down this far to the south are all overshooting clouds. With that said, the storms have been weakening for the most part. We have no warnings anymore in eastern Pennsylvania, and we are actually down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings. All of the ones over there just expired, so we are now down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings for central and western Pennsylvania, with, once again, the main concern here being damaging winds and isolated large hail. The main area that I would be watching for at this point would be this activity. That's in eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. We'll have to see if anything develops out of this. Again, I'll probably be live here for at least another 30 to 45 minutes if anything does try to develop here. And so we'll at least stay live through then. If anything does develop, we'll stay live. Really what we're watching for, again, is a potential for an isolated tornado threat. As of now, nothing's materialized there from what I know. But we do have at least some ping pong ball sized hail now falling near Katanning and also back near Butler. So the hail threat is beginning to increase again. And we do have another severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued near Limestone, Interstate 80, Monroe, and Clarion, Marianne, Brockway, Sandy. Another severe thunderstorm warning in this area, and that's going to be for some quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Thank you, Michelle, for the $4.99. Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Near Pittsburgh. Your timing is probably going to be closer. At this rate, these storms are all moving west to east, so I was thinking it might be a bit earlier, like 8 o'clock or so, but the problem with these storms is that they're all moving west to east. They're moving very fast, but they're not moving south. So I think overall the timing for you is probably going to be closer to like 10 to 11 o'clock, and damaging winds would be the main concern. And that's really the main concern, damaging winds. Maybe an isolated brief tornado, but it still remains a very low risk. And large hail is possible still, so have at least protect your vehicle if you're able to. Thank you, Civ, for the $5 super chat. When did I get into weather and how? So when I was 3 or 4, I can't remember what year. It was like 3 or 4 years old. I'd be watching the Weather Channel instead of things like SpongeBob, like cartoons and stuff. I'd instead watch the Weather Channel. That's how it all started. Now, there's a very long backstory to everything, but that's just the premise of how it started. What was the first tornado that I really remember? I would honestly have to say probably Springfield, Massachusetts, and Joplin, Missouri. Those were the first two that I really remember. And the Springfield one was in like the early 2010s in Springfield, Massachusetts. I think it was an EF2 or EF3. I remember watching it on live TV, crossing a river. And then there was also one, the Joplin one, obviously, but that one was really the most memorable for me. I was watching, I think, the Weather Channel when that happened. It was unbelievable. It was just all destruction across the entire area. It was so hard to watch. Can I show the future radar? Yeah, I can show the future radar. I'm not sure how accurate this is going to be. The HRRR has been kind of a little bit off on these storms so far, but we'll give it a quick little run through and see what it looks like. Let me take off the power outage map here. All right, here's the timing for today, or tonight at this point. So this is 7. This would be right about now, so 8 o'clock. Again, notice this is pretty accurate with what's happening right now. We got thunderstorms across this entire area. By around 9 o'clock tonight, storms will be moving down to the south and east. Isolated damaging winds possible near Philadelphia and Trenton, but I think overall the severe weather risk will be very low. And then back over in central and western Pennsylvania, storms still ongoing there. Nothing too crazy though. Again, mainly isolated damaging winds and hail. By 11, these storms will be moving closer to Pittsburgh with, again, damaging winds, large hail being possible. I do think there's still an isolated tornado risk, but I think the risk overall is quite low tonight. And then by midnight, most of these storms are weakening as they move into southeast Pennsylvania, and then we'll be done talking about this by around midnight or so tonight. So this is by 2 a.m. Most of the storms much weaker by that point. So overall, not too crazy. Is it crazy enough to the point where you should still stay weather aware? Yes, but it's not something that is, again, a tornado outbreak or a severe weather outbreak, but it is definitely still some pretty numerous severe weather that we've already seen, and what's developing out here in western Pennsylvania gives you a good grasp here that we definitely have still some significant damaging wind and hail potential right now for those in the Puxatawny area, Grove City near Interstate 79, and Clarion near Interstate 80. Still got plenty of storms out here that are still severe. I showed the east side of College, or State College. Yeah, this is what it looks like right now. And again, all these storms are moving southeast, so they're not moving west to east like the other ones back over in western Pennsylvania. But these storms are moving much faster, and they're also much weaker. They're not severe, really, at this point. They are strong, but not severe. There is still some gusty winds, and also there is still plenty of lightning, but the severe weather threat with these storms is definitely a bit lower. You were in the Joplin tornado? That's how I became a chaser? Wow, that's pretty crazy. I can only imagine. I mean, the people that lived through that tornado, it's just unbelievable what happened there. It's a horrible tornado. A once in a 10-year period sort of tornado that happened there. Maybe even less frequent than that. It doesn't happen very often. That was definitely one of the worst tornadoes of all time. Yes, these are all storms right now that are ongoing. All these, again, producing quarter to ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And again, all these right now moving eastbound, going towards Clearfield, Phillipsburg, northern Cambria. We don't really have any rotation on any of these storms right now. This would be like the only area that we might have a little bit in. But that's not really much rotation. So maybe a little bit of rotation near Butler, but it's not much. It's not enough for me to be concerned about it right now. Again, all this activity will continue to move down to the east-southeast here over the next little while. Yes, these storms are all training right now, so I've kind of talked about this a couple of times, but unfortunately, since these storms are all kind of in a train right now, they are probably going to ramp up a flooding threat over the next couple of hours. So we got more storms firing up again near Youngstown, Ohio, and this is going to continue to lead to this train effect. That essentially means that we're going to continue to see multiple storms overlapping each other, basically going over the same areas multiple times, and that's going to lead to a flooding threat in addition to more significant severe weather in these areas. And this is the flood warning that we've already had issued. This was issued about half an hour ago or so near Grove City, and we're probably going to get more of these here soon. If this rain just keeps going, which it probably will be, we're probably going to have to get more flash flood warnings in these areas, because that's going to become a concern, especially for low-lying areas near Grove City and near Interstate 79. So unfortunately, that threat is beginning to ramp up a bit here. The highest hail that we've had reported so far was around ping pong ball sized hail, and we just got a report of marble sized hail in Brookville, Pennsylvania. So we got some cheese curd sized hail falling there. Apparently an inch and a half of rain has fallen in the last hour. I wouldn't be surprised by that. I definitely wouldn't be surprised by that. We've definitely had a lot of rain, and all these pink areas that you see on the map in red is all representative of heavy rainfall. We got tons of it. Obviously, it's a little bit more numerous. It's not like widespread, but it's enough that's there for there to be a flooding threat here in western Pennsylvania. Have I ever done a stream for a hurricane? I've done multiple streams for hurricanes. I think we've done like 5 or 6. Ian and Adalia were the main 2 that we did live streams on. Yeah, the Youngstown area, we've had multiple storms just developing there. That's the main area where we've had storms firing up in. And that's leading again to this train effect that we have. That's going to continue to lead to some more relatively heavier rain over long periods of time here, which will lead to flooding and more severe weather, basically. More hail and wind going to continue here across much of the Clarion, Sandy, Puxatawny areas, probably for the next couple of hours. And Grove City, I think the worst area that's been hit by this is Butler and Newcastle. They are just going to keep getting hammered by these storms. Not much you can do about it. It's a training effect that we sometimes see, and unfortunately that's kind of what's happening right now over here. Just tweeted you the hail. Okay, let me check out Twitter. This is a video of the hail core that just went through. This is from Kyle Hawk. This is what just went through Sunbury. That's out of Sunbury. Pennsylvania. A lot of small hail by the looks of it. Definitely Some cheese curds falling out of the sky there. Appreciate you sending that in. Got a pretty cool time lapse as well from Cody. This is around 6 o'clock. Pretty cool time lapse of a storm developing here. I can't remember the location. I'll tell you after, but this was also in Pennsylvania. A little bit of spin in the clouds. We sometimes get that. Spin in the clouds doesn't always mean tornado, but definitely a lot of spin in the clouds there. Little swirling eddies and stuff like that. That was out of Butler County, Pennsylvania, around 6 o'clock from Cody. Appreciate you guys sending those in. Wow, this is from New Williamton, Pennsylvania. That is some big hail. If you can measure that hail, let me know. If you still have a photo of that. That's golf ball size by the looks of it. That is some golf ball sized hail in Pennsylvania. This was in New Williamton, Pennsylvania. Wow. That's one of many hailstones that fell there, and that's definitely the most significant one by the looks of it. That's pretty crazy. Crazy stuff. That is a bit larger than a cheese curd. This is from Milana Jennings on Facebook as well. Another crazy photo here. It's a towering stack of clouds. Cumulonimbus clouds towering up there. Presumption is that is also Pennsylvania. Youngstown, Ohio. Never mind. That's Youngstown. So Youngstown's been getting a bunch of storm activity there just because of the train effect that we've had there, but none of those storms really have gone severe as of recently. They've mostly just been strong. Got trees down in Williamsport area as well from damaging winds in that area, so just a heads up. There are some trees down in that vicinity. I asked her to measure it, but she already tossed it and went to eat with her friends. It sounds kind of relatable. Sounds like something younger kids do. They're just like, oh, that's cool. Whatever, throw it away. It looked like the size of a golf ball. I bet if you took like a measuring tool online to it, it'd probably be around golf ball size, Dale. We are back down to 3 severe thunderstorm warnings, and those are primarily the storms here in western Pennsylvania. Once again, the main concern tonight is going to be damaging winds. There is a threat for some isolated large hail and maybe a brief tornado, which so far that brief tornado risk has not really evolved. And again, this threat really going to be going until about 11 or 12 tonight, but we'll probably only be live for another 30 to 45 minutes. See how the activity goes here. If anything does get going. A lot of these storms so far, though, have been mainly ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. Do have a hail core again developing back over near Newcastle. So there's a chance right here that there could be some golf ball sized hail falling near the Harlansburg area, approaching Muddy Creek and West Sunbury and Chicora. So that storm will be moving east and east-southeast towards Chicora, near Butler, Prospect, and Route 422. Hailing in Youngstown, Ohio. It's probably on the small side of things. I do have a storm that is in Youngstown that is starting to ramp up, but it's mostly small hail by the looks of it. I will be live at some point tomorrow, whether that is for a forecast live stream or that is for a severe weather coverage. We'll have to wait and see. We might do both too. So yeah, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We'll be live at some point tomorrow, almost undoubtedly, and we'll also be live on Tuesday. Yes, I'm slightly hungry. I'll have to eat dinner at some point. How come you're ending if it's going to continue for another few hours? Again, it's just not super duper significant, and I don't want to be live for 6 hours on this event when it's not something crazy. Main reason why we went live again is if there was going to be a tornado risk that developed. So far it hasn't. I'm not saying it won't. It's just overall it's taking a while for anything to materialize, and I'd rather save my energy for the more significant events that are happening, which are both tomorrow and Tuesday for much of the Great Plains and as well as the Midwest and the lower Mississippi Valley. And if you've not already seen, the next couple of days are much larger in terms of a threat. This is the threat of severe weather for Monday. We actually have a small risk on the East Coast, so that's not really the concern. The concern is this double barrel enhanced risk that we have in the Great Plains. And this is a very large area once again. This goes anywhere from South Dakota back into Texas for the overall risk of severe weather. But there is also those 2 enhanced risks right now that include Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. It's still a very highly conditional and uncertain event right now. It very easily could get upgraded. It also could get downgraded, depending on what happens. The main concern is going to be damaging winds and isolated large hail, but I will not rule out a few tornadoes. It very easily could be a much more significant tornado risk if we have enough moisture and there's not a cap in place, but those things remain highly uncertain at this point. Then once we go into Tuesday, which is tossing trampolines on Tacos Tuesday, we have another large threat of severe weather from Wisconsin and almost all of Illinois back into Texas, with another enhanced risk for those in Iowa and Missouri and Western Illinois. There is going to be a possibility for strong tornadoes on Tuesday, almost undoubtedly. And in addition to that, we're probably going to get an enhanced risk, I think, back down in Arkansas. But either way, we definitely have another large area for severe weather on Tuesday. And we'll probably at least be live on Tuesday. Tomorrow, we will at least have a forecast live stream in the afternoon hours. And we might even have a severe weather coverage in the evening, depending on how things go and if anything is really materializing. We'll have to wait and see. It will either be a big event or it will be small. It is probably not going to be anything in between. It's Wilkes-Barre in the clear for storms. Yeah, you're pretty much done with storms, at least the severe storms. You might get like another isolated shower storm, but I think the risk is going to be on the low side of things. Do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that's issued now for Indiana, Ford City, Butler, near Katanning. This is for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. So this will include areas again like Ford City and Indiana. Nothing too crazy here, but looks like this storm in particular is weakening just a little bit. They've basically issued a new warning now for this particular storm that's back over near the Elwood City area, near Slippery Creek, but it's not nearly as significant as before. I do think overall the severe weather threat isn't really diminishing. It's just at this point a little bit lower across parts of western Pennsylvania, and that's mainly due to the fact that these storms that we have right now are again training, and that basically means that we have storms that are developing and a centralized point back near Youngstown that are training west to east, basically overlapping each other over time, and that's kind of limiting right now that severe weather risk a little bit. But so far, we haven't really had a whole lot of rotation with these. I've not seen anything super impressive on the velocities all day so far. Again, a lot of these storms are mainly large hail producers with some damaging winds as well. Another train. There's another train in Fosteria, Ohio, on the right side of your screen. With, again, that low deck of cumulus clouds. That's not really going to do anything, but it's happening there. Storm, by the way, is strengthening near Youngstown. They may issue a new warning for those in between Youngstown and Newcastle for quarter-sized hail. That storm is beginning to ramp up now, with quarter to half-dollar sized hail being possible there, as that continues to move to the east. Really like the new layout. Yeah, I like the new layout as well. This won't be the only layout that we use. Like this is our other layout, which is still here. It's just we won't use it as much. It's this will be used if we have Connor Croft, and it's the main thing we're looking at. but this will be the general screen that we'll use. And my camera broke. I shouldn't have done that. One moment. Gotta fix this. There we go. These storms are all moving west to east up here in western Ohio. Any storms that are back down in southeast, sorry, not Ohio, I meant Pennsylvania. These storms are all moving west to east if you're in western Pennsylvania or eastern Ohio. The storms that are back down here near Harrisburg, they're all moving northwest to southeast. So overall, much less storm motion to the east. They're moving more kind of down this direction. These are also all not severe anymore. They're just strong thunderstorms. They're ordinary thunderstorms during this time of the year. So the threat of severe weather with these definitely much lower at this point if you're in southeast or eastern Pennsylvania. But the most significant severe weather threat at this point is probably going to just be coming out of these storms that are all ongoing right now from Youngstown, Ohio, back into Pennsylvania. With the main concern again being large hail, damaging winds, and maybe an isolated tornado. But the risk of tornadoes is still quite low as of right now. We haven't had anything really develop in that spectrum at this point. Yep, there's another train there moving right through Fostoria, Ohio. Nice haircut, thank you. I've never tried GR2 Analyst. I'm not sure how it is. I've never tried it. I've tried a few different radar programs. I still think Radar Omega is the best one, but I've tried WSV3 and that one was a bit glitchy for me, and then Radar Scope, which I don't really have. I'm not a huge fan of either. So I've tried a few different radar products, and those are the ones I've paid for. I mean, I've used like My Radar and other stuff, but those are just not the quality that you need for being a weather analyst or something like that. If you have specific questions on Monday or Tuesday severe weather, again, I'll be doing a forecast live stream probably tomorrow. If not, I'll at least have a video, I think, tomorrow morning for that threat as we go into late Monday and as well as into Tuesday. There hasn't really been a whole lot of rotation. I mean, the only storm that might have a little bit would near Prospect. I'm not really seeing any other rotation in here though with these storms. The only really organized storms that we have right now are the ones over here near Grove City, north of Pittsburgh. But overall, these are mainly just large hail and isolated damaging winds. Welcome back, Shelly. $85 trains a day? That's a lot. I didn't know that many trains existed on these railways. I had no clue. Again, I'm not really into trains. I didn't know that many would go through one spot. Sounds like a lot, though. Yeah, so this area of storms that we have right now in western Pennsylvania, it's probably going to keep training for at least another hour or two. It's going to slowly drift further down to the south, and once really the nighttime kicks in, the temperature will start dropping, the moisture will probably start dropping a little bit, and that should start to allow for a lot of the storm activity to stop training so much, and the instability should also be lower, so that'll help. But for the time being, these storms are going to keep training in the same area. They are starting to slowly drift further down to the south. I mean, Grove City's starting to kind of get away from the main activity of rain, but it's going to take a while, and I do expect more flooding to be possible here over the next couple of hours. So, unfortunately, the training effect that we have here is kind of a bit unfortunate, because it's gonna lead again to flooding, and that's not something that we want. How's the weather looking for Nebraska? The main concern's tomorrow. Actually, I think Nebraska will be interesting tomorrow. I think the threat of severe weather in Nebraska will be more interesting than most of the other states, as long as other things don't materialize further down at the south. You're definitely gonna have some large hailstorms, though, if you're right along the northern Kansas and southern Nebraska border there. I think that's where we're gonna have the most significant storms tomorrow, as long as the cap stays in place for most of the rest of the United States. Will the wind shear increase tonight? I don't believe so. Let me check. Really, the main concern was going to be between now and 8 o'clock for any tornado risk. Still could exist after 8. It's just, I think, an overall lower threat. By the way, we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning just south of Youngstown. This is going to be mainly for the threat of quarter-sized hail. All right, let me check and see what the environment looks like here. And we've just lost a severe thunderstorm warning, so we are back to 4. Not really, maybe a little bit, but the other problem is the storm activity itself is going to be a little bit less active after like 9 or 10 o'clock, and it's mainly because we're going to lose instability and daylight heating. That should kind of allow for a lot of the storm activity to not be nearly as significant in Pennsylvania and Ohio. So I do think overall, I just don't think the tornado risk is going to increase. I think from here it's going to decrease just due to all the storm activity we've already had, and the instability going to be going down. Daylight heating is going to end, which has already ended for most of Pennsylvania. So overall, a lot of the storm activity will probably continue to train at least for the next hour or so, maybe the next 2 hours. The tornado risk will probably still be on the relatively low side of things here. Still won't rule out an isolated tornado. Can't rule it out, but I do think, again, the risk is fairly low. And even if we do get a tornado, it would be on the brief side of things, for the record. So, it's still a relatively low risk. This is all in Pennsylvania and Ohio for the storm activity. Most of it's been in Pennsylvania. We've had some storms in Ohio. We have one in Youngstown that's now severe, or just south of Youngstown with some quarter-sized hail. Not really a wind threat there. But the rotation, again, just not really been there today. It's been mostly large hail with almost all of these storms at this point. You think they'll drop the watch early? I think the watch will go all the way through tonight. I think it'll go, again, it only goes until 11, so I mean, it's not like super long from now. It's about 2.5, 3 hours longer. They might cancel it back over here. They also might cancel it in here near like Akron, Mansfield, and maybe western or kind of western side of the Swatch in Ohio. But they'll probably at least keep this stuff in here because there's definitely still severe weather. I mean, it's not done, but the severe weather threat is overall becoming a little bit more scattered comparatively to what it was before, which was much more numerous before. So that's what I'm thinking. No problem, Kevin. Yeah, keep me posted if you have any photos. Dodge Charger. Wow, got a fancy car. Another severe thunderstorm warning. This one's a pretty big one. It's going to replace the current one that's ongoing probably at some point down the road. But new severe thunderstorm warning for those just south of Grove City near Elwood City, Newcastle, Slippery Rock, Butler. That's for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging winds. And again, this activity all right now moving to the east at approximately 50 miles per hour. Thank you, Fault, again for the $4 super chat. What time will the threats roll in Oklahoma tomorrow? Again, I'll have a more detailed video breakdown on this tomorrow morning, or I'll go live and do a forecast live stream. But the timing would be probably during any time after sunset, basically, is going to be your main concern for any sort of severe weather. So anywhere in Oklahoma, that's the main concern. Be anywhere after 6 or 7 o'clock tomorrow night, but I think a lot of it will be nocturnal, so a lot of it will probably end up happening after midnight tomorrow. Thank you, Key, for the $4.99. Is DFW a morning or evening tomorrow? It's going to be evening, and I did talk about it in today's forecast a little bit, so you can feel free to watch that. There is a timing thing in there, but it'll probably be anywhere from about 5 p.m. for anywhere in North Texas, not just DFW, from 5 p.m. until midnight. In the DFW area, if we do get any severe weather, it would probably be from about 8 to like 12 or so. So it'll be mostly after sunset there as well. And thank you again for your $4.99 super chat. All right, well, the severe weather overall not looking too significant. It's kind of dwindling. I thought this threat would be a bit bigger. If there is some sort of tornado warning after this, we'll shoot up a live stream in case we have to. But other than that, that's gonna probably do it for today's live stream. I hope everybody did enjoy and find this live stream informative. If you've not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the stream if you found it informative. In addition to this, we'll be live Monday and Tuesday, so click the bell icon down below so you're notified if and when we go live. Thank you to anybody that super chatted, anybody that became a member. I do appreciate you guys all tuning in. And all of our new members, I really do appreciate you guys a lot. Thank you for supporting our page above and beyond. Helps page out a ton. And again, if you're new, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be live again tomorrow, probably a couple of times, at least once, maybe twice. And we'll have a video probably tomorrow morning. So stay tuned. Have a great, safe rest of your night. And we'll see you guys all again in the next stream or video. And yeah, have a good night. See you guys again soon.